like to call this meeting to order for the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors regular session for December 16, 2025. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Brandt.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Hall. Kurtenbach.
Here.
Leyland.
Here. Everyone, please join us for a moment of silence as we reflect on our actions here today. Would everyone please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1 is the agenda received as proposed or amended.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, the agenda is received. Item 2 is public comments. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak on something that's not on today's agenda? Anyone online, checking again? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 3, the presentations. Item A for our 2026 legislative priorities, Larry Murphy from Urban County Coalition's here to update us, I think, at work that's went into the last few months and where we want to go with this year. Thank you, Larry, for being here.
Good morning. I apologize, I should have gotten this set up so you could have in front of you. You should have the copies of the Urban County Coalition. And first of all, I want to thank Blackhawk County for being part of that coalition. Just some quick history. My business partner, Gary, always gives me a hard time. I'm the old guy on the team. And so I bring the historical perspective. But the short version is probably about 15, 16 years ago now, Gary and I represent Lynn County. But there was a lot of conversations with Scott County and Johnson County, and in terms of just some of the common issues that the urban counties confronted. Fast forward, we sat down with Dubuque, Scott, Johnson, Blackhawk, and obviously Lynn, and agreed to form the Urban County Coalition. Again, because of the history I bring, back when I was a county supervisor, almost 50 years ago now, they at that time, counties, all 99 counties had their own DHS offices. They had a lot of the offices were decentralized, and you had 99 footprints all over the state. And over the next 30 years, there was a series of consolidation of those services. And you all know, because you're one of them, the urban counties became the service center for most of the rest of the counties. And so because of that kind of unique issues that face you and ISAC, and we work wonderfully well with ISAC, but with ISAC's challenge of having 99 members is if there's a conflict between two of their members, then they remain neutral in terms of legislation. So it allowed us to zero in on some of the issues that are very unique to urban counties. So just want to kind of quick rundown on how we came about here. Secondly, I want to thank Richard.
Because I was going to say, because we do get the legislative priorities from ISAC as well as the UCC and how they compare or how they're different or whatever. I think it's appreciated.
And real quick, because I'm not sure how much time you want to spend on this, open to questions at any point, but I think what I want to draw your attention to is on the urban county list in front of you. The property tax issue, we've had, as you all know, that we've had a series of attempts to do quote unquote something on property tax for the last couple of years. And thus far, it's been mixed its best, but certainly has created even more work for cities and counties and schools in terms of notifications, that type of thing. So there's discussion again this year, but add in the political earthquake that's taken place with two of the top spots in Iowa opening up the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race, and the resulting flurry of activity by legislators who are leaving the legislature and running for something else. We're really in a situation where I think the session probably will be relatively short. I think they probably want to do something, and it may be a study, it may be some tinkering with property tax. I'd be surprised if there's a major piece that's done on that. But I know that Senator Dawson in the Senate has been working on a property tax bill for a number of years. and his is probably more comprehensive, but at this point, no one knows what it is. The House also is talking about some sort of property tax bill, and the governor has had meetings around the state as well. So, so I think there'll be some discussion about it. End result, not sure. But, you know, certainly the key piece for us, and we've shared that with Rich and Linda, and certainly with the rest of you, that the problem in the past has been, the focus has been mostly on the property tax for counties and cities, even though the bulk of the property tax is actually generated by schools. And then, as I'm discussing this, if you just look down that next section of the list where we talk about funding, the state funding shifts to property owners for state services, where there's legislation that basically passes on the cost to the property taxpayers in Iowa for things that are not funded or fully funded at the state level. And so part of our message has always been, you know, and I'll just use one example, within the school aid formula. The school aid formula is a mix. It's a statewide property tax, then there's what's called state aid, and then there's another property tax levy that fills in to bring all the school districts equally in terms of funding for students. Whatever the state decides, what they're going to increase per pupil costs at state aid, if they don't put in enough money to actually generate enough to get them to the what's called the statewide cost of students, then the school boards have the ability to levy a property tax to replace whatever the shortfall is. And so that's one of those unseen state implications in our property tax system, where if the state does not fund schools at a certain level, then the school districts have the ability to raise property tax. Unfortunately for you all, people come here to pay their property tax, so you get the brunt of the opinion in terms of what those property taxes are. So anyway, just quickly running through, and then I'll just open up for questions. So when we talk about this funding shift to property owners for state services, then there's a series of bullets underneath that. Right now, again, Blackhawk County provides housing for state offices at your expense. You provide services to a whole variety of other counties that are housed here, but you can't charge those counties and get reimbursed. And courthouse security and maintenance, that's been a cost that's been given to the counties over the years with the increase in security measures that you're required to put out there. And again, you're doing that at property tax cost. As you all know, the publishing requirements in terms of minutes and the information that in terms of transparency, that has a cost to you as well. And then paper document storage, you're in urban county, so you wind up storing state documents here for all the areas that you serve. And then the couple of other issues. I mean, one of the areas we were successful, I think Linda, was it 2 years ago on the treasurer's fee, or was that last year? I'm trying to remember. But anyway, one of the last 2 years, we did get an adjustment on the treasurer's, some of the treasurer's fees. And the fees are set by state law. So unfortunately, unless the legislature comes back periodically and updates them, some of those have been sitting around for 30, 40 years with no change. And so again, the shortfall there, you all take care of through the budget. So our point is that there's a lot of what we call unfunded mandates on local government. And meanwhile, the legislature is also trying to do something about the property tax costs. Certainly a better partnership with the state in terms of state funding would alleviate a lot of those and also address part of the property tax issues. So with that, I'll be glad to open it up. So there's about 3 pages worth of priorities. And as you all know, because I think, and that's part of the reason I'm here today, on the Urban County Group, Linda and Rich have served on that. And we basically work through priorities. A lot of these we carry from year to year. And then we update them in terms of either new or emerging issues. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
I was just gonna say we carry them from year to year because a lot of times they haven't been resolved. Most times they're not resolved yet, so.
No.
Continue on. Yeah.
Larry, you'd mentioned the school being a large reason why taker of property tax revenue. And so just made me think of the was it in 23 when they passed the bill for the school, was it vouchers or savings accounts?
Right.
Which, I don't know, I was hoping maybe you could offer some clarification. Like, 'cause I find, it's one of those things that's funny because it seems like all of the Democrats hate it and all the Republicans love it, and it's like, well, what's the truth in between? Like, is it that bad or is it that great?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, it's a philosophical issue. And I think probably the theme is the parental choice thing as to parents have the ability to decide where their kids are educated. Historically, Iowa has had, forever going back to actually about 1904 or 1905, when they actually passed public education in Iowa. Historically, we've always had a very good relationship between the public system and the private system. And for most of that history, that private system has been like the Catholic, Lutheran, some of the small Christian groups that have schools who have met state standards. With the education savings account, it's a new concept, and we're in essence the state and local dollars follow the child to whatever system they go. I think probably the challenge is that a lot, not all, but a lot of the newer ones that are just coming on board have been exempted from meeting all the state standards or all the curriculum offerings. So for example, in the fine arts area, some of the small charter schools may not offer fine arts. So what they're saying is, okay, then those students can go to the public system and access fine arts, but there's no money that follows it. So I mean, that's kind of the details there.
Oh, okay.
So I think, in answer to your question, really, I think at this point, the education savings account is now law. It's going to be part of the equation. So I think now the debate is going to be, are we going to hold all those schools to the same standards, or are we going to keep the exemptions for some of them? So I think that's where a lot of the battle is right now.
Because what was it, $7,000, something like that.
Right.
Per pupil cost.
Correct.
And
Right.
then so the tax levy would be the difference between, and I might be misunderstanding this, but
No, and actually, the way the law is set up, your state aid, which is so many dollars per pupil, and it runs $7,000 to $8,000 or $9,000 per pupil. All that money, which is both property tax and state aid, follows the kids. So in the past, if I left, let's say, the Ojai public school system and went to Sacred Heart School, no money went with me. It was my family or somebody else would pay that. Now, those dollars will follow each one of those children wherever they go. And I think that's probably the debate is if the money's going there, should those private systems actually be expected to meet the same standards that the public schools and some of the private schools do already? Does that help?
yeah. I'd like to talk with you about it more later.
I'll be glad to.
Awesome, thank you, sir.
But Larry, I mean, it does create further property tax burden in the sense that there are then budget shortfalls in the public school system, and then they're left with no choice but to tax for that on property tax levies.
Correct. So that is the challenge with the in terms of the then we talk about quote property tax with all the local jurisdictions, including cities, counties, and school districts, community colleges, but all those. That's got to be part of the discussion if you're serious about community property tax reform. Because if you only look at cities and counties, you're really ignoring half of the property tax issue. Does that help? Okay.
You want to talk a little bit or just comment a little bit on the county bonding and
Yes.
why we were interested in that?
County bonding, that's on, I think, page 5 of the priorities. The short version of it is cities and counties are allowed to do bonding differently. And cities, in terms of some of their utility funds that have water fees, sewer fees, that type of thing, they can bond for future, construction. Counties don't have that option. You do have a bonding function. There's obviously geo bonds that you have to go to a vote to get 60%. There's also some funding that you can do for infrastructure, but it's tied to population. Again, when we talk about updating numbers, those limitations that are tied to population, the legislature just made some adjustment and tied to inflation, but they really need to be a pretty substantial increase in your ability to bond. Not that you would, but at least have that ability to do that. So what we're really wanting the counties to be treated very much like the cities in terms of your ability to bond for capital improvements, set aside money for road equipment or whatever, because with the cost, again, with your engineer sitting here, 50 years ago when I was on the county board, a motor grader cost about $40,000, a new one. What do they run now? 600,000. So when you look at the increase of just equipment, the ability for the county to actually replace, and if you're limited in how you can do that or tie it to kind of your annual budget, you're really limited in your ability to respond to the cost. So it's the county bonding. What we really want is to give the counties the same ability that the cities have, and you probably will actually save money over time because as you set money aside and then actually go out and make purchases or buy multiple pieces of equipment to get a better deal on bidding multiple pieces of equipment. So does that help, Linda?
You want to touch too, I was going to say, for everybody's benefit, a little bit of how we select these topics or how they get on, how the subjects get on
Yes.
our priorities or
Right.
go off the list.
As I said, some of these are carried over from year to year because, as Linda alluded to, we don't. We like to claim that we are successful every year, but we're not. And because so many of these issues are not the inflammatory types that really get a lot of activity, trying to convince legislators, because as I tell people, clients, and when I talk to students about the legislative process, the legislators, their currency is their time. So when they come down for 4 months every year, they basically have 24 hours a day, and how many people they can listen to and understand, and then decide to do something. There's a huge glut of requests, and then trying to allocate, how much time they're going to spend to get that legislation passed, that type of thing. So the kinds of issues we have are important, but trying to get their attention and the sustained effort to get change is a very slow process. It was designed by the founders that way, and so that's why persistence is part of the game. In terms of the Urban County Coalition, the ideas actually come from the various supervisors. So for example, I believe, and Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the wage theft issue down there was brought to us by Johnson County supervisors, because they were aware of some issues in Johnson County, and that people had come to them frustrated because they hadn't been paid, and as far as they could tell, there was no good way to get their money back. And so, for example, that's one issue, we discussed it, and then as we decide the priorities, and within the Urban County Coalition, it has to be unanimous. So in other words, what you see before you is what all 5 counties agreed should be our priorities for this coming session. So if somebody comes with an issue and there's 1 or 2 counties that are not excited about it, that is not added to the cost. And then what we do is Linda or Rich bring it back to you, for example, for approval. And so then the 5 counties pass resolutions supporting these positions. Anything else? Okay, well, once again, thank you, and thanks for being part of the coalition. Very effective, and certainly, as Gary and I say, call. Our cell phone numbers are on the bottom there. Call us anytime you have questions or concerns, and certainly anytime you're in Des Moines, let us know, because we'd love to, look up the legislators, because you all speaking not only to your local legislators, but to legislators in general, is very, very effective in terms of highlighting an issue and ideally getting some progress made on it. So thanks so much.
Well, and you didn't, maybe you touched on it, I just didn't hear, but I was gonna say the fact that we have Republican and Democrat supervisors and representation, and then as well as with you and Gary,
Right.
too, working with us, that it's.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, Linda touched on a point. In my world of lobbying, your team's always a Democrat and Republican. So I'm the Democrat, Gary's the Republican. And when we're relaxing after work, there's plenty of jabs back and forth, but and sometimes it's a burden to carry for both parties. So. Thank you.
Larry, thank you for coming in person.
You bet.
Okay, we'll get on to our department highlights of 2025, and first on the list is Sheriff Nate Knapp.
All right, morning, board.
Morning.
Pretty short and brief here for you, but you get a full day of presentations. I won't take up too much of your time. Just getting started, we had a ton of changes this year, and I guess first off, I want to throw a shout out to Gabby. She took the standard PowerPoint presentation for the sheriff or the county, and actually added the sheriff's office with some of our logos and stuff into it. So thank you to Gabby for kind of making a hybrid for me on there. And then I want to give Deputy Caitlin more credit. I kind of told her what I wanted on this, and she built a presentation for me since I'm pretty challenged in this aspect. So I give her the credit for putting the slideshow together for me. A lot of changes this year, as you can see from obviously me taking over at the top on down. Pretty much my entire command staff had to be replaced. We implemented our civilian sergeants this year, and the three of them have done a fantastic job. That's been a great addition for us. They're doing a wonderful job. 2 new deputies. We had one other one, but he's moved on, unfortunately, already. 4 retiring, a new administrative aide, and then 3 new clerical staff in there. So from top to bottom, a lot of new faces and just a lot of changes where people are. It's gone amazingly well for us. A few bumps in the road, a few learning curves, obviously, but overall, it's been a good year. So. Just over a year ago, you guys approved the Taser Axon package for us. We do have that implemented. We're rolling with it all now. Things working great. The guys love it. The way to share it with the county attorney's office with the defense attorneys and everybody else is extremely easy, user friendly, ties in with the other local agency stuff. So it's been a nice addition for us. So a lot of work from Al and his crew on that part as well. So thank you guys for approving that, and thanks to Al for helping us get rolling with it. It's been a nice addition.
What's been the biggest benefit that you felt for that? I mean, I know the ease of time and everything, and like you said, getting to the attorneys, the information.
I think just the reliability of it. Our old system had gotten, it was outdated, and you'd have to pull in things may or may not upload it, so they would take forever to upload. The ability to sync everything together. You can watch multiple agencies at one incident, and you can kind of sync all the timelines up where you're watching it, almost as if you had several different monitors at the time watching it. So I think just the ease and the user friendliness of it has been far and away the best part of it.
Thank you. User friendly is important, but I wondered, I didn't even think about it with something like that, I guess. But
Yeah, the fact that it syncs up with the others, and I know the county attorney's office wants to too, so it's benefiting not just us, but the entire county.
Yeah,
So.
sure.
Well, the other thing too is if you need evidence, video evidence, which could have been a pain in the butt before from people from video cameras, you can just send them a link too, and then they can just upload it from their phone anytime that's convenient for them. So it's super
Yeah, and we've
efficient.
definitely made use of that as well too. I hadn't thought of that one, yeah. Yeah, they are used to be. If somebody had something on their phone, that a video they wanted to share, something we would have to take our phone and try and record it from their phone, whatever. And now we just send them the link, they drop it in there, and it goes in, and we don't have to worry about did I alter it with my phone or this or that, whatever. You get the metadata is all on there that shows that this is exactly what was recorded, when it was recorded, and it's all there. So it eliminates some potential questions down the road on it too. Got the range purchase this year. It's obviously a big thing. Another thank you to you guys on that for working with me on that. It doesn't really change anything operationally, but it's nice knowing that all that land that we have buildings and training things set on is actually ours now. And we got horses now to do.
And horses, yeah, and horses.
Still working on that contract.
Time to go.
It's kind of a cool thing we did here. I think I mentioned it back at the time. DJ Daniel's a 13-year-old boy who 6 years ago was only given a few months to live from cancer. He's still fighting, and this kid loves law enforcement. He actually travels around the country and gets sworn in a lot, but at the National Sheriff's Conference in Florida earlier this year, they did a thing where he was sworn in to any of our agencies that wanted to participate. So if you look at that purple row, it does say Blackhawk County Sheriff's Office in there. I wasn't able to attend myself, but he is officially an honorary deputy of ours, so. It's a neat kid, it's a neat story if you follow him. He's got all sorts of social media and stuff, and he just loves law enforcement. And again, he's still fighting 7 years after he wasn't even supposed to be here, and he's always got a positive, upbeat message, and he's kind of an inspiration for all of us there. As I mentioned a week or two ago, we got our accreditation for medical health care. It's a process about every 3 years. I think it's actually been 4 for us, just going through all their timelines off, I think. But again, we got that done. That's not an easy process, so that's a credit to the jail staff and to our NAFCAR staff over there. A couple new programs were brought into the jail, and I don't have a whole lot of the details on it. But Pet Pals, they come in periodically, and it's almost like our Mary that we have. This is a program they come in, and just gives the inmates kind of a chance to interact with them, to de-stress, to unwind. They're specifically trained to come in and do this kind of thing. And then also familiar with Tony Dungy, who's a Colts head coach for a long time, very successful. He's got a program called All-Star Dads that he's involved in, and we've actually been able to bring that into, obviously, Tony has a mentor himself, but with the program they come in and they kind of help mentor people with their parenting needs and kind of help prepare them for when they get out of jail to be a more involved, better family person too. So that's a new program that they approached us, it's been 2 or 3 months ago, about coming in. So they come in periodically, and I honestly, I don't know for sure how they're picking the people that they're working with, or if it's a group thing or whatever, but I know so far it's kind of been a popular thing, and just having Tony Dungy's name attached to it makes it a pretty big draw as well. This was something I started working on. Unfortunately, it kind of stems from active shooter things, but really it goes across all boards, whether it be a tornado or anything else. For years now, unfortunately, I've always done active shooter training where we plan the response, how we go in, what we do to get the bad guy. I've had the opportunity to see both presentations from the Prairie School shooting, Sandy Hook, and actually Oxford, Michigan shooting, and all of them have said the response we've trained for, but the aftermath isn't. Where do we get the parents met up with the kids again? What do we do with the media? How do we deal with all these other things that you don't really think of? So I've got my staff working with each of our schools in the rural area. We're coming up with a binder for each school. It's going to be like, okay, if something happens here, we're going to relocate with the parents. It's going to be at this location. We're going to try and get the media here. We know that'll probably change in progress, but if we at least have a baseline plan. So we're working with each school to have a binder, getting the fobs for each school, getting the maps of each school. So every patrol officer that's out there is going to have a binder for each car to tell them, okay, here's a map of the school. We got fobs to get in. We at least have an idea where we're going to start, what we're going to do. So that's kind of a big thing. Like I said, we've always planned for the response to the event, but it's the aftermath that we haven't. So now we're working on that and ready to go.
Is that something you just initiated, or did the school?
Yeah, no, that's something that I took over in January. That was one of the first things that staff, I was like, we need to do this with each school, and so it's been a long process. They're getting a couple of schools knocked out. But again, some hesitancy at first. Well, why do the police need, fobs to the school stuff? It's like, well, when it hits the fan, we don't want to have to try and break in doors or anything else. We want to be able to get in, and if there's people in hallways or different areas that we need to get there as quickly as possible. And the teachers probably aren't going to be standing out front there handing us fobs or anything in that situation. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve for something that we pray that we never have to use.
Last week in Stewartville was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, you don't know when or where, but you have to be ready for it. So community engagement, that's a big thing I've been pushing on this year. We've always tried to do some of it, but I know I've talked about before. Typically, if you have an interaction with law enforcement, it's a bad day for you. Whether it's because you got arrested, because you were victimized, you were in a car crash, even a speeding ticket. Generally, interaction with law enforcement kind of like is stemming from a bad thing. We try and get as many positive interactions with us as we can out there. Just a few of the things we've done. I've tried to be at as many as possible, but give credit to Deputy Carl Alpenbaumer and Caitlin Whitmore. Those two are always out there coming to me with, hey, this group wants to do this, can we go to this, can we do that? I get to as many as I can, but those two are probably at twice as many as I am, even whether it's through the day, the evenings, the weekends. Schools, things with CPC, the polar plunge, Special Olympics kind of things. We really did a lot of things this year. Supporting the Girl Scouts, different reading events, just a lot of different things. Spent a day working with Habitat for Humanity, built 2 houses with them. That's kind of a neat process they go through there. That was a lot of fun. I actually did that on 9/11. Turn out for that. More examples of things that we've done throughout the community this year. A couple of our officers, the 2 that I just mentioned, actually did a self-defense class just for women out at the range here. That's what you see in the top couple corners there. Just working with the girls on that. We were able to send one of our officers of the Honor Guard out to Washington, D.C. for the National Police Officers Memorial. Iowa State Sheriff's and Deputies Association paid for that program. He came to me and asked if we could go, it's paid for, and I'm like, absolutely. So we got to be part of that. That's an amazing process from what everyone says out there. So we were able to send him out to that. And then the other ones are from our local Peace Officer Memorial Service. And then this is kind of neat over Memorial Day. Went out and planted flags, veterans flags there at the cemetery. I wasn't able to be at that one, but we had a good turnout there. And then from our social media posts on it, the Gold Star is a magazine that's put out by the Iowa State Sheriff's Association. It goes to all 99 counties. They saw our stuff and actually picked it up and made it the cover of their magazine, and then did a little spread on the inside of it too. So got a lot of statewide coverage on that for a lot of our members and a lot of brought their families along with, you can see there. So that's kind of us in a nutshell there.
That's kind of it in a nutshell, though. It's a lot of change for you, but longer staffing, so.
A lot of change going on, yes. We weathered the first year pretty well. I'm excited to get going on year 2.
And you had some vacancies and stuff too. How's that working?
We've been on a good run. We've got a couple, I think we've got 4 or 5 in training right now. And the first of the year we've got 3 or 4 more scheduled to be started, plus a few more going through. So again, I remember a year ago at this presentation, I actually said that we were within 3 people of being full staff. Then we had the 9 retirements. And most of this year we've been down that dozen or so. But we're climbing back up. We've got 1 retirement at the end of this month and 1 at the end of this month. But fortunately, another 9 going. So I feel good that here we'll kind of get going on that again. We do have 2 people serving overseas, and I think they may even be in Syria, but happy to say that they're both safe, everything from the attacks that happened this week too. So I'm excited to get them back. That'll be like adding 2 new people when they get back. I'm not even sure when it's supposed to. I know they left in April for approximately 8 years, so a few more months and we'll get those back, so it'll be like having 2 new hires.
Do we have an address we can send them a card, holiday card or something, just to let them know
I'll
what
see what I can find for you. I'm sure we've got
Yeah.
something.
Any more questions? Any other discussions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Nate.
Can you say it? Great. Okay.
Okay, good morning, board. Caitlin Emmerich with Public Health Department. Mine's a little bit longer than Nate's, but I promised I'd keep it moving. So happy to present our year in review. Many of the things that are highlighted in our year in review are also highlighted in our annual report. I brought quite a few extra copies with me, so if anyone in the room wants one, I have one I can share with you as well. Just a quick update on our vision, mission, and core values. So something we did in 2025 is we did update our mission to align with the county's mission. We kind of combined the existing one that we had with the very recognized promote, prevent, protect public health mission in combination with the county's recently adopted mission, and then also adopted the core values in full. We did have a separate set of core values previously, but now in line. So our staff, of course, are our most valuable resource we have within the department. We have 58 employees over 5 different program areas. We continue to invest in professional development for our staff, and I'll talk about when we get to our budget standpoint, but from a budgeting standpoint, salary and benefits are over 90% of our operational budget, so it's reflected as a resource for us. Just wanted to share our Board of Health members that are either currently or just recently were serving. So Dr. Wes Pilkington just came off the board at the end of 2024. He had served 2 terms, I believe, got us through COVID, and was our board chair. And so he's off, but we do have the remaining 5 members of our Board of Health still serving and really contributing in a valuable way from many different perspectives. Recently, we just moved some of our offices. Some of our offices are still where they were, and we'll move in January or February or March or whenever that's going to happen, but soon. So there's a picture here of Marie, who's our receptionist at the public health office, sitting at the new reception window on our first floor of the Pinecrest building. And then I'm just going to go through different highlights from different program areas. So the first one I wanted to touch on is communication. So I have a picture of Micah here. Micah's fairly new to her role. She took over in that position after Gabby came over to the Board of Supervisors office. I added her picture after she edited this entire presentation for me, so this will be a surprise for her, but she really did the heavy lifting with the presentation, and kind of made it align with brand standards and put some pictures in there that really demonstrate the work that we do and things like that. A couple of highlights of communication work that we've had is we had 2 major campaigns this year where we partnered with healthcare providers and other local public health agencies. Measles in the spring, when measles was really a pretty current event, and we were concerned about measles cases. And then cancer education in kind of a little bit later spring in the May, when we had the 99 counties presentation from the Iowa Cancer Registry and Iowa Cancer Consortium. From a social media perspective, our engagement continues to come when we highlight the work that staff is doing or are doing. In the reporting period that's highlighted in our annual report, so FY24 and 25, we posted over 1,500 posts on social media and had over 750,000 impressions. So we do have the ability to reach the community through our social media engagement as well. From an emergency preparedness standpoint, Stop the Bleed was an initiative in 24 and 25 that we were able to do some training in within our team. So the photo here is at our Christmas party, so that's why the attire is the way that it is. But we did a Stop the Bleed training, and so there's a picture of practicing applying tourniquets. We did purchase 2 training legs and 20 training tourniquets that can be loaned out throughout the community for Stop the Bleed, and distributed 181 kits to libraries, schools, and conservation. So kind of what Nate was sharing about active shooter situations, Stop the Bleed is really a tool that can be used if there is an active assailant or active shooter situation for addressing trauma. Also, the Lafayette County Healthcare Coalition was formed and continues to grow. In 2025, earlier on this year, along with the measles response, we did develop and facilitate a measles tabletop in conjunction with our healthcare coalition. So we kind of walked through a scenario of measles cases and how different healthcare entities would respond to those cases and communicate, things like that. We currently have over 60 partners on the Black County Healthcare Coalition. That's led by our emergency preparedness specialist, Matt Maynard, who is our shared employee with emergency management. Okay, from a finance and funding perspective, I just wanted to highlight some of the funding fluctuations that we've seen in FY25 at least. There has been a lot that has changed this year, I would say more than other years. So from new funding opportunities, we have $75,000 from the Solid Waste Commission, $277,000 for Thrive to work on community care coordination, and $50,000 that just came in from Molina Cares Foundation, which is the charitable foundation for Molina, which was one of our MCOs in Iowa. We did see a couple of funding streams eliminated. One, our transient night community well inspection program. The DNR did not renew the contract at the end of fiscal year 24. They were concerned that there would be funding cuts through EPA that would no longer be able to support that contract. So we did not do those inspections anymore. And then Pick a Better Snack, which was eliminated by the OBBA at the federal level in the summer. A couple of funding streams were cut and then restored, which is new for me to have that happen. But we had our DIS and partner services, so this is really our ability to follow up on STIs, sexually transmitted infections, that we were originally told that those funds were supposed to end in December of 25. However, just a few weeks ago, we were notified that they're going to extend those funds for another 3 years, and that's about $100,000 a year. And then public health preparedness was, at the beginning of fiscal year 26, was reduced by 50%, and then a few months later was restored back up to about $45,000. So that's just kind of a summary of all the things I've shared with you over the months in one location for you. From an operational standpoint, for our finance department internally, we've done some process improvement projects relating to credit card processing, some training, equipment and workflows. We've implemented a digital purchase order form. Previously, everything was on carbon copy paper, so when somebody wanted to buy something, it was very, archaic process for that. So we now have an electronic supply requisition form that we're using, and I think it's working pretty well. We've implemented some printing efficiencies and locked print defaults on copier machines. So with the idea that sometimes you print something that you don't actually really need, you send it to the printer and then you don't go pick it up. The locked print holds it at the printer, and then you have to manually release the print job from the printer. That's a cost-saving measure that we've implemented. We've also implemented renewing some of our, eliminating some of our leased copiers, purchasing outright, and really focusing on maintenance contracts that have a lower cost. And so we have a performance management measure linked to this. Our goal is to save about $2,300 in printing, and we're almost there with printing efficiencies that we've had. And then finally, mailing label shipping. We've worked with our postage machine company to get lower prices for some of the medications that we mail out for our tuberculosis program. And so there was a lower cost that we were able to do if we ran it through a certain way, figured that out, and we're saving on mailing labels as well. So been able to work on all of those things in the last year. One really major accomplishment that we've had is we completed our FY26-27 workforce plan. So this is something that has been in the works since probably fiscal year 22 and 23, where we got staff input on a learning culture survey and core competency assessments. For the first time, employee satisfaction and well-being is part of our workforce plan, so that's something new. One of the picture here depicts a project that we did over the summer where we really tried to figure out how we can work internally together. You know, we have 5 different programs, almost all the staff, like I mentioned. Sometimes you can sort of work in your silo, and so we are really trying to focus on internal collaboration and how we can best serve our customers by making sure they're aware of all the programs we have, things like that. So that's what that picture is depicting. Also part of the workforce development plan is we did a capacity analysis through a national workforce, public health workforce calculator. So this slide kind of represents what our current staff and FTE is, what the FTE need is that's predicted by the calculator based on, you know, the size of our community and things like that that you can plug into the tool. And then the difference that the tool identifies as maybe capacity needs that you haven't identified. So using the Foundational Public Health Services calculator, it does show that we have about an 8.6 FTE gap to meet our baseline needs. So that's something that we're just keeping in mind as we have staff that turn over and things like that to really identify how we can work on our workforce capacity and the gaps that we have identified. The specific FTEs or disciplines of the capacity where we know that is lower than what the national recommendations recommend are in billing and coding for our direct medical and dental services, in health communications, and in community navigation and community health workers. Those are the 3 areas where we have a gap in our workforce capacity. Also in our workforce development plan, we have identified some high priority trainings. So these are based on learning culture and core competencies of what public health staff need to be able to know and the skills that they have to be able to do their jobs. And these are outside of regular trainings that we do for social requirements or CEU development or things like that. And so the trainings that are included in our workforce plan are change management, which we actually just secured a trainer to come in at the end of February to do change management training. Succession planning, especially post-COVID, succession planning would have been something very beneficial to have a little more formalized that we have a gap in. Trauma-informed care, building health equity, we are revising it post House File 856, the DEI bill, to be in compliance with that law. And then quality improvement and innovation training are other high priority trainings that were previously not on our training radar that we're incorporating moving forward. I mentioned employee satisfaction is part of our workforce plan. A couple of things that we're working on in the short term that we're creating more opportunities for staff to gather. So one of the things we're implementing after the first year are potlucks that are centered around cultural backgrounds and experiences. We're also working on a recognition and preference form that each staff member would complete with for their manager to be able to have a structured check-in meeting. This is based on the Joy and Work framework, which is put out by the National Association of County and City Health Officials. We're also working on a procedure for acknowledging professional recognition awareness days. We have a lot of those in public health. Nurses, disease intervention specialists, nurse practitioners, dental hygienists, dental assistants, environmental health officer, like we have all kinds of professional recognition days. So we're really trying to work on structuring those so we can do it in a way that all staff feel valued. And then also working on coaching sessions for managers and supervisors on how to implement the Joy and Work toolkit. Again, this is a national toolkit that really was part of the foundation and the backbone for developing our workforce plan. Moving on to our advocacy priorities, in September the Board of Health approved the advocacy priorities for 2026. There are 3 advocacy priorities. Here. So the three are strengthening local public health for a thriving community. One of the things I'll just point out with this is public health realignment has been tossed around as something that may or may not happen for a couple of legislative sessions now. So one of the asks in this advocacy priorities is that local public health should be included and provide feedback and input into the realignment process if and when it happens. The second one is addressing Iowa's cancer rates. This has gained a lot of visibility and interest over the last couple of years with the cancer rates being published for the state of Iowa, with Iowa being second in the nation. So there's a couple of recommendations on how we can address Iowa's cancer rates through policy decisions, including focusing on lung cancer through radon and tobacco, nicotine exposure, early detection and preventative care, and then addressing some of the social determinants which impact health outcomes for cancer patients, like transportation, childcare, things like that. And then the third one is improving access to quality, affordable care. Access to care is a very well-known social determinant of health, and there are some things that we know that we can do differently that would improve access to care. One of the things that I'm personally really looking to see a change in is the second bullet point around covering community health worker services for third-party reimbursement. So right now, community health workers do a lot of work to improve patient outcomes, and there's no reimbursement model for them for third-party reimbursement. Other states have third-party reimbursement models, but the state of Iowa does not. We have spent some time in the last year doing advocacy, education, and outreach. The photo on the left is public health staff, Board of Health, Board of Supervisors, and some other elected officials during our mobile clinic urban tending that happened in September. And the photo on the right was just recently, a few members of our advocacy committee met with State Senator Dave Sayers to discuss our advocacy priorities and some of the things that we're looking forward to in the upcoming legislative session. Moving on to our strategic plan, our department has a strategic plan that goes through fiscal year 27. There are 6 priorities and 33 objectives within that strategic plan. There is a graphic here that points out where the stars are in the county strategic plan. Those are areas of alignment with our public health plan, crossing over into the county strategic plan. So definitely, we did a good job with the strategic planning process both times, because there's alignment with the things that we saw as needing to work on for those strategic planning processes. So for the public health strategic plan, this is kind of just a trend of where we are with working on our objectives over the last couple of years. So currently, we have all of our objectives that are either in progress or complete, and more than half of them are complete. So we're on track to get through what we said we were going to do in our strategic plan through FY27. From a quality improvement standpoint, we do have a quality improvement council that meets and to encourage a culture of quality improvement. We met 2/3 of our performance measures this year and all of our plan objectives. So we do a quality improvement plan kind of similarly how we do a workforce development plan. And so we're doing really well with setting realistic goals for our quality improvement plan and continuing to build that quality culture. Moving on to community health improvement planning and the Advancing Together Coalition. Last year, a community health assessment was completed. This year, we worked on, and I say we, the team, worked on developing the community health improvement roadmap. So the strategies and objectives that would be developed. I will say more on this is on page 5 of the biennial report. I'm not going to touch a lot on it, but I do encourage you to take a look at page 5 in that annual report. So what happened in January, a large group of community members got together and met to discuss prioritization of issues based on the community health needs assessment. They explored themes, root causes, existing resources, potential solutions, prioritized 10 themes, and then as a community group, voted on priority issues, on the top 3 priority issues. So the top 3 priority issues in the Community Health Improvement Plan are economic stability, transportation challenges, and housing stability. What I will say about this is that quite a bit of work to date has been done in putting together the action plans for these priority issues, and that part I would say is done or nearly done. All right, moving on to the programmatic components of our department. From a community health standpoint, we have an Informing and Hawkeye program. So Hawkeye is the children health insurance program in Iowa. We do have the contract to do that. Informing is notifying newly eligible Medicaid families of what their benefits are under Medicaid. This year they had a couple of milestones broken. They had a record informing completion rate. So that is when they try to contact a family to notify them of their benefits, if they are able to connect with them or not, that's what the informing rate is. So the percentage of families that we've been able to connect with and notify of their benefits was a record year over the last 5 years, going back to 2022. So we had a really good year this year for our informing team. Our First 5 team, which works with providers on developmental screens and then referral to care for kids 0 through 5, they had 275 referrals from local providers this year. It's their highest number on record for referrals that they've had. They had 100% documentation quality, they had positive audit feedback, and they earned their performance incentive for the grant. So that resulted in an additional $3,160 coming to the program. Our community health workers in the community health program received statewide recognition. The University of Iowa and the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services reached out to us. They wanted to feature a video with our community health workers. That video is in the final stages of approval, so once it's ready, I'll make sure you guys get to see that. They've been working on developing garden curriculum, doing a lot of navigation and resource support, and continued outreach to refugee and immigrant populations. From our Care for Yourself and Iowa Get Screened program, our Care for Yourself had a record year as well, 267 women served, which is the highest program count to date. And we were able to double the screening completions for Iowa Get Screened, which is our colorectal cancer screening program. So really being able to serve a lot of people in our community with cancer screening and early detection programs. And then our nutrition educators, Lakin and Alicia, in fiscal year 25 had record school outreach, garden expansion and wellness education. They did the most lessons in a year that they've done in over 15 years of the program running. So the community health team is just hitting it out of the park this last year, so very proud of them. Moving on to our disease surveillance and investigation program, which is communicable disease reporting. Just kind of letting you know that our sexually transmitted infections are remaining stable, our enteric diseases are remaining stable, but we are seeing reduction in our active TB cases, so that is good news. Our TB team are pictured up here, Angie, Amy, and Salem is not pictured, but those are our 3 tuberculosis nurses. Angie retired in October of this year. The admin support person for them is Madison. So this year Madison went through a new to public health program, which is a curriculum that's supported by Iowa HHS for staff that are new to the public health profession. She did a quality improvement project to kind of modernize the medication adherence program. The storyboard is here, but I'm not expecting you to read the storyboard. And it resulted in an increase in medication adherence among our TB patients based on the quality improvement efforts that they did. Our hepatitis and HIV contract, we hit 100% of our performance goal this year. So we met all of our testing encounters that were outlined as goals in our grant. And there's a couple of pictures here of our disease surveillance and clinic teams out in the community doing those encounters. We do serve Blackhawk and Bremer County for this project. From a syphilis prevention perspective, this is a photo of Rebecca Smith. She's one of our disease prevention specialists. She presented at the national conference last year in Anaheim, California, on the syphilis media campaigns. So that was a campaign that was done through funding from a national professional organization. They funded us to do some special work in syphilis media campaigns due to increasing syphilis rates nationwide. So that team did 11 speaking engagements, 14 trainings, and three staff that have state or national membership involvement across their disease surveillance program. They also hosted a couple of interns this year that worked on data, rabies awareness, and some food safety inspection data analysis projects.
Kaylin, would that be more funding for keeping that going?
For the syphilis media campaigns, there isn't. That project ended and it's not eligible for renewal.
Okay.
So the media campaigns have ended, but we do have the products that were created from that we could always run in the future if we have funding for that. Something I haven't talked about before too much in our year in review is our OD2A, so that's the overdose data. I forget the acronym, to be completely honest, but it's the overdose prevention grant that we have, and the person working on that is Chandani. So she's been working on implementing clinical practice guidelines for prescribing opioids for pain, and so meeting some benchmarks in that grant. And the graph here shows some of the data that's been collected from providers who received academic detailing, showing how many of them either agree or somewhat agree that they understand the guidelines, they're comfortable implementing the guidelines for prescribing, and that they intend to begin implementing them. So kind of working upstream from an opioid prevention standpoint, the prescribing guidelines are really a way to kind of reduce the pathway to addiction. From an environmental health perspective, the environmental health officers, so pictured here are Alex and Eric doing the Radon Outreach event that last January. They continue to work on radon awareness here in the month of January. Is a Radon Action Month, so we'll see it again. To work on lead poisoning prevention in healthy homes in partnership with the City of Waterloo. And to do lead assessments. So in 2025, we did 32 lead inspections and risk assessments, 17 dust clearance, and managed 14 cases.
Hey, Caitlin.
Yeah.
How does that get on the radar with you guys, with the lead?
So two ways. So the childhood lead poisoning prevention program, if a child is screened by a provider or us, we can screen too, and they have an elevated blood level, depending on what the level is, if it's really high, it kind of automatically qualifies them for case management. If it's a little bit lower, then it's like more of a retest monitoring kind of thing. But the ones that are really high are the ones that come to us for case management. Alex does the work on those. So that lead is a reportable condition in the state of Iowa. So all lead tests are reported to the state and then they're reported to us for follow-up. And then the assessments and the work with the Healthy Homes program with the City of Waterloo. The City of Waterloo does the intake for those. We're a subcontractor for them. So once they have an individual that qualifies for the program and needs an assessment, then they send that to us and then we work with them in doing an inspection and assessment.
Okay. When a child goes to the doctor, they get, so whatever, what's an acceptable amount of lead?
Oh,
I don't
I
want to
don't
put you on
have
the
that in
spot.
my
I
brain
would think
anymore.
there'd probably be very, very little.
well, what I will say is no level of lead is safe.
Right.
There is an action level, I think it's 4 picocuries per milliliter, but I'm gonna have to double check on that, 'cause it's been a little bit since that's been
Yeah, that's
up
fine.
there. But there is an action level that designates as an elevated blood test.
And then how does that stuff go away? How does it get filtered through?
Well, if it's really high, the child can go through chelation. That's rare. It's where they kind of remove the lead from the body through a physical process. But removing the source of the poisoning is kind of what we have a part in, right? So we're going in, we're assessing, is it paint in the windowsills? Is it, where's the exposure come from? Most of the time it's lead paint. Still have an older housing stock with a lot of houses built before 1978 when lead paint was banned. And so for the most part, it's lead paint exposure. So doing that mitigation and either removing it or encapsulating it, that is the way to that's one of the strategies for bringing lead down. It just kind of depends on how severe of a case it is.
Yeah.
And I realize that 4 picocuries is radon, not lead, so don't.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know the difference anyway, but I'm just thinking, like, on the topic of accountability, I'm gonna make a wild assumption here, that these are probably typically rental properties too.
Both, actually.
Really?
Yep. But we are able to work with rental properties to do the assessments, but we do see them in both.
Yeah. Is there ever any pushback from the landlords? I assume they would have to foot the cost.
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the intake process is with the City of Waterloo, but part of the program is that there are funds available to do
Right.
mitigation. So it's not enough funds to do a lot of mitigation if there are multiple things going on, but it does help pay for the cost to remediate.
Because when you go to rent, I guess I can't remember, part of the, does law require that they have to disclose that there's lead paint in there as the landlord?
Don't know, I'd have to check.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody from our environmental team is on right now, but they're probably like yelling at the monitor right now, telling me the answers. I'm gonna have to check, but I can check and get back to you.
Okay.
They know for sure, I just don't.
That's fine. Like I said, I don't want to put you on the spot. It's just things that are coming to me
Yeah.
as we go through the presentation,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I would hate to see, I'm gonna call it free money, being given to wealthy landlords when they should have probably done the fixing ahead.
Oh, sure, there are income qualifications for the Healthy Homes program, and so that does kind of equalize that a little bit. Yeah, but I don't know how it works for landlords, to be honest. I think it's more the tenant.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But,
Okay, nothing else. I'm sorry.
yeah. Okay, continuing on, these are just some of the number of inspections performed by our environmental health teams and the staff that perform them. So food inspections are the bulk of our inspections, almost 2,000 annually. We do have 4 inspectors that do the food inspections, and then 3 sanitarians and an environmental health officer that perform the other wells, septic, healthy homes, pools, and tattoo inspections. Just wanted to do a quick little informational on West Nile virus surveillance. We do have, we participate in West Nile virus surveillance, which is mosquito trapping for the state of Iowa. It's funded through the Iowa Health and Human Services. So we have 3 traps within Black Hawk County that we collect from beginning in May, ending in August or September, I believe. Consistently, I think for the 3rd year in a row, we have had the highest index in the state, meaning the percentage of positive pools and number of mosquitoes trapped. So we have a lot of mosquitoes, and our mosquitoes have a high percentage of being positive for West Nile virus compared to other places where they're being trapped. So the Black Hawk County pools account for 79% of total positive pools in Iowa. So just something to kind of be aware of. Also this year in 2025, the samples that we collected in June for West Nile virus, which is 4 weeks earlier than the first positive West Nile virus pools that we detected in 2024. So that might be milder winters. There's a lot of different factors that might contribute to that, but just to kind of have that be on the radar.
Has that been on the radar for previous years as well, or is it just now kind of coming into?
Just in the last 3 years, we've seen that a lot of positive pools in our traps. So I'm not sure if there's something else going on. The birds are the reservoir for West Nile virus. The mosquitoes spike the birds, and that's how it kind of continues to perpetuate and be out there. So I don't know if there's something going on with the bird population or kind of what it is, but yeah.
At the time that you are, like, if that continues, and what type of remediation, I guess, is
So
there?
we do a lot of education on what property owners can do to get rid of mosquito breeding grounds, to not have standing water and things like that. And so that's kind of what we do during the summer. Also about protecting yourself from being bitten, because we know that we have a lot of mosquitoes that are carrying West Nile virus. So, wearing long sleeves and wearing insect repellent and those kinds of things to have education. Ragripe came through the area where we inspect this year, and so we have a photo of the staff and that did the Ragripe inspections this year. We do partner with the Department of Inspections and Appeals and Licensing. They do an incident command kind of framework to work through the event, because it is a lot of people that we want to keep safe. That come through in a short period of time. So we did over 100 either temporary or mobile or first food service inspections and walkthroughs in the 3-day period that Ragripe came through our area. And last but not least, our clinic team. So a couple of the things that our clinic team worked on was expanding outreach locations for reaching adolescents and young adults for HIV and STI screening and the opportunity to receive immunizations. So those partnerships included UNI, the juvenile detention, the Success Link within the school systems, and we also launched the Vaccines for Adults program within our clinic and at the jail. So this is a new program where individuals that qualify can receive free vaccines, and it's for adults. The Vaccines for Children program has been in place for a very long time, but there's never been a program for adults. So this launched at the end of last year, and we were able to kind of get that out into the community. And our data shows that the efforts are working. So we went from 83 adolescents and young adults served in 2024 at outreach locations to 142 in FY25. So we're seeing that reach there. And then from the oral health perspective, with our dental program, we're really strengthening our internal collaboration between our child care nurse consultants and our oral health team, where our child care nurse consultants are now working with childcares to kind of implement oral health principles into childcare settings, like, you know, brushing teeth after a meal and things like that. We had the launch of the Oral Disease Preventionist Initiative with 2 local clinics, so that's when a dental hygienist goes into a pediatrician or family practice office, and they'll be able to see the kiddos that are there for their well child visits and do that oral screen. And then, again, we added new partners for oral health services as well as for the traditional medical services as well. And then, of course, in September, we had the ribbon cutting for the mobile health clinic. It has 2 exam rooms, an ADA bathroom, a laboratory, a blood dry area, specimen storage, vaccine storage. We had kind of some honorary public health staff. I would say we may have adopted Brad for a little while there. He helped us with a lot of training for drivers and kind of safety protocols and things like that. And then to the sheriff department, their storage collaboration, they're letting us store the mobile clinic in the sheriff's department building, so we really greatly appreciate that. Looking forward to 2026, some of the things that I'm focused on include completing the renovation and getting all of our offices and clinic moved, operationalizing our mobile clinic program, so we just had a little taste of what that looks like, so I'm really looking forward to kind of making that part of our regular operations. Continuing strategic planning for the county, mental health will lead into, supporting mental health needs will lead into 2026. And then we'll also be working on our own departmental strategic plan. We do need to kind of work on deciding what we're gonna do and possibly bringing in a consultant because it only goes through FY27. Continue to prepare for public health system alignment if that happens, and then continue to diversify our funding models to kind of strengthen our resiliency to any federal funding changes. Any questions for me?
Just
There's a lot of information,
it really was a wealth of information, and I just think it wasn't too many years ago when Daryl was involved, before the outreach and all the efforts and stuff that you've been doing. I was gonna say, when people wondered really what public health meant or did, or, you know, what the services were, and I thought you were ready, way past ready for a road show.
Yeah.
To, you know, for anybody that would have questions that touch on so many different things and areas that, I don't think we had any idea of, so.
And Justin, I'll work with our mental health team on your questions about what.
Yeah, I'm sending you an email now.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
It's up to you if you want to take care, or you want to just go ahead and reach back shortly. Get set up anyway.
Do you want me to not to connect to this?
Oh, might as well do it real quick since. Oh, it went away. So, never mind. You're good.
Mine will be a little shorter. Just teasing you, just teasing you.
Yeah, that's right, you know.
Am I waiting for Rich, I'm guessing?
If you- I just, it can't believe when, even you see the presentations, and it's kind of like the highlights of 2025. You know, and it's just like, it's just like for a year. So everybody's been presenting so much information, and so many things that are going on in addition to just regular work and strategic planning and stuff, so. Appreciate it.
I mean, I enjoyed it, especially being at my first year, so it was a good exercise to go back and see that, we did do
What you got done, yeah, for sure. You're waiting.
Oh.
Are you guys okay if I just do it from here?
Wherever you,
Sure. Be up at the podium.
Rock and roll.
All right, with the auditor's office, much like what Nate was talking about, we also saw a lot of new faces. We're not nearly as large as Nate, so not as many. But we started the 2025 year in a new space with a new auditor and a lot of other new faces. So we started the year with a lot of change as well. 5 positions in our office either saw somebody move into a new role or a new face. I know 5 positions isn't a lot, but with the size of our office, that's a 40% change. So, and a couple of folks, including the previous auditor and then one of our payroll specialists, they were in the positions for 40 plus years. So I think just with the change in staff, it's been quite a change for our year. But for me, I just saw that as an opportunity for change and to look at some of our processes and to evaluate what we've been doing and how we've been doing it, and is there a more efficient way. So staff will tell you that I despise hearing this is how we've always done it. So I think they are all know to maybe have embraced it. We can maybe just look at it and see if we can be more efficient. So I just want to walk through who we are, what we do, and some key highlights for our office this year. So who we are, most of you all know what we're made up of, but that's accounts payable, payroll, elections, and real estate. Essentially, our main task in our office to safeguard public funds, ensure compliance, and transparency is very important to our office. Why all of that's important, I think the biggest one is just to ensure public trust when it comes to county finances, property taxes, and elections. And then our office is also, I found very early on in this new role that we're essentially kind of the hub of the county and that we touch every single department. Certainly with paying everybody's claims, but also payroll. And then with real estate and Tim, we're also supporting all the other local jurisdictions with their budgets as well. So just to break it down, this is just a few bullet points with our accounts payable department. Really, essentially, they are reviewing and processing the invoice, maintaining accurate vendor files. This is obviously important for a couple of reasons, but the 2 I want to highlight is that we're paying vendors on time and accurately, but also protecting those county funds with our strong internal controls. Payroll, which also found pretty quickly, this is obviously really important to all county staff to make sure that people are getting paid accurately and on time. But also a big part of this too is to make sure that we're in compliance with labor laws, county policies, and all of our union contracts. This is important, of course, to make sure that we're keeping employees happy by getting them paid on time and accurately, but this is also reducing risk and making sure that we have clean audits. A few highlights from the accounts payable and payroll department. The first order of business really at the beginning of January was to fill 2 critical vacancies. We only have 2 payroll specialists and 2 accounts payable specialists, so we were down 1 in each. So kudos to Angie and Cheryl for taking on that extra workload for quite some time. They did a great job, but it was really important to get those positions filled, again, because those positions really support all of the other departments in the county. When I talked about looking at our processes, this was something that was really important to me coming into this role, just because, you know, I mentioned that we're only a staff of 12. And so it's really important, I believe, for our department to make sure that we're cross-trained. We had not been doing that in this particular department before this year. And especially, like I said, when there's only 2 of each, it's really important to make sure that we don't have uninterrupted service based on people's absence or, you know, God forbid somebody leaves again or, you know, a health crisis. It's just really important that these positions can do the job of both people to make sure, again, that we don't have uninterrupted service. So huge kudos to this team for embracing that change. We, been around for a long time, so they had been a little bit siloed in their own particular rules for quite some time. So I really, really appreciate them embracing the change and being open and trusting the process. So this is ongoing. I would say at this point, our 2 payroll staff are fully cross-trained and doing all parts of payroll. And then with the AP staff, one, I just want to thank the board for allowing me to be able to move both of those AP staff roles to the same level so I can cross-train. So we just started doing that this fall and it's going really well. I also just want to highlight that our payroll and accounting manager was recognized this year for excellence in financial reporting in regards to the audit. That's obviously that's huge, and I want to make sure to give kudos to her. And I already mentioned why all of these things are important with these accomplishments. So really proud of this department. They've seen a lot of change this year. Moving on to elections, what we do with elections, we administer all of elections for the county, whether that's federal, state, county, or local. We do need to make sure we're in compliance with Iowa election law. I'm sure you haven't been paying as much attention as I have since 2017, but every legislative session brings some form of election law change, so very important that we keep on top of all of those changes to make sure that we're administering elections according to code. But then the rest of those bullets, you can see what the election team does. We prepare the ballots and test all of the voting machine equipment. We recruit and train all of our election officials. I always say we're kind of administering 2 elections at the same time. The absentee portion of that particular election, and of course election day, maintaining accurate records and providing voter education and public outreach. This is really important to protect the integrity and security of our elections, especially in the climate we've been in for the last few years. So it's really important to me to make sure that we're very transparent in our elections process. We saw several election accomplishments this past year, just to highlight a few. I think the biggest one is me moving from elections manager to auditor. We took the opportunity to restructure our department. So again, thank you for allowing me to do that and hiring and changing a position in there from an election specialist to an election technician. I also want to give a shout out to Amanda for helping me with that process too. That was several conversations and couldn't have done that without you too, so thank you. We also, something that I've been wanting to do for several years and this year had the opportunity to do so. I have seen the benefit of using vote centers for special elections. So we were able to do that at the beginning of the year when we had a countywide special election. And then just more recently with the December runoff election is to utilize vote centers. I do believe they increase accessibility. We just saw that in December when we had higher turnout in December than we did November. So I think that speaks to that. And more importantly, it reduces the cost. I also believe it's very important to be a good steward of tax dollars when we're conducting elections, especially when jurisdictions or the county, doesn't matter, but taxpayers are paying the cost of administering elections. So I think it's really important to be as efficient as we can. So for example, we normally in a December runoff election for Waterloo would have 28 locations open. We only had 10. Each location that you open is about $1,000, so that was a cost savings of $18,000. And I would say that that election was done just as well as if we had all the locations open. So that was exciting to do and to see the success of that. The biggest change to our office in regards to technology and was a huge accomplishment was moving from Precinct Atlas to 10X. And again, want to thank the board for that, for supporting that. But we use the new electronic poll books in November and December. And another slide's going to have some feedback from our precinct workers. But with that, we saw improved reliability, we saw faster voter check-in times. We actually can see that. We had kind of a central command that's set up in our office. We can see everything happening out at the precinct, so we can actually see how fast a voter was processed and the average time that it takes to process a voter. We also did hear back from several voters on election day that they thought that the process was more efficient and faster check-in. That was really important, especially moving to vote centers. Some of our vote centers in December saw 1,400 people on election day. So huge kudos to our precinct election officials. But also enhanced reporting and monitoring capabilities. This is huge for our office. Before we were offline in this system, and so for the elections team, we really were operating in the dark. We had no idea what was going on out at all of our 56 precincts, and we would just sit by the phone and wait for them to call with whatever issue would arise and handle it at that time. Or, they would let me know we have 25 ballots left, and then we'd have to quick scramble to print ballots and take them out. Now that we're connected to all of our precincts, I'm able to monitor that ballot inventory, and so that happened in both November and December. But at 10 a.m., I was able to gauge which sites were going to name more ballots, and so we were able to get those out to them in plenty of time. Instead of, I remember back in 2016, when every time I turned around, somebody had a slip of paper telling me that another site was running out of ballots. So this is just, I can't even put into words, this is such a huge change, and being able to monitor and support all of our locations out at the precinct. And then all of this matters because it improves efficiency, accuracy, and the voter experience. But also, and I might argue more importantly, it helps build the confidence in our local elections. So I just wanted to share some of the 10X feedback. We did surveys after the November election. We had about 250 precinct workers, and we received 190 responses, which was great, just about a 76% response rate. And I'm happy to share all of the results with you, but overwhelmingly, all of our precinct workers said it was much better, much more user-friendly, and please don't go back, but these are just a few that I added to share with you. I like the first one, change was needed. The process was much more efficient. The new poll books are fantastic. I'm so glad we have them. Much better, love them. I was impressed with how efficiently we were all able to process voters. The iPads are so much better. I did not put that in caps, they did. And more reliable. Please keep the iPads, they are so much easier to use. This is just a handful of the overwhelming response that we got from the precinct workers, who are the ones, they're the end user. So we need to make sure that they are able to process voters and do it in an efficient, effective way. So the feedback was tremendous from making this change. So again, thank you for supporting that. Just a little bit more precinct worker feedback. I personally want to put this picture in there, but Gabby said it was important for me to show you me training our precinct workers. But just a few other notes that we got from the surveys. This one speaks to the entire election team. Whenever we call in, you all, this is from precinct workers, you all are so helpful, you don't get rattled, and you walk us through any problem that arises. Thank you for your wonderful leadership. Your advanced planning really helps. Thank you for all the positive changes you have made over the years. That makes our job so much easier. I hear that last one quite often. We do surveys after every election. I've been working elections for almost 10 years, so over 40 plus elections that I've been able to administer. And because of that survey feedback, we're always evaluating, and I think we're making at least, even if it's minor, we're making at least one change on how we improve our processes. So again, really proud of the election team to being open to that feedback and listening to the precinct workers who are the ones out there doing the work. This is just Gabby has been critical in expanding our social media footprint. I hope she's online, but she has been tremendous, and I thank her so much for this. but she came over and took a group picture of all of our precinct worker trainings, so it was really fun to get those pictures. I can't believe that 99% of the precinct workers were willing to go out and do these pictures. But so we took a picture of all of them, and then Gabby did this awesome video reel at the end showing all of these pictures and just showing the community that it is your friends, your neighbors, and bipartisan teams that administer elections and the work that it takes to prepare for an election. So I already just mentioned that we have really expanded our social media presence. Both with Gabby, I already gave her kudos, but certainly want to give elections manager Josh also kudos. Both of them have been really focused and just energized about expanding our social media presence. One of the things that they do that's really important is they have planning meetings that they meet before each election. And so they plan out all of the different things that we want to highlight and cover and create those posts well before, because once we get into October, you just don't have time to do that. So a lot of our social media posts are done well before in August and September. It makes it much easier for us to put those posts out. A new thing that we did this year, and this was a partnership with Main Street Waterloo. So this, I hope we do a whole lot more of this, but the Main Street Waterloo Executive Director reached out to me and asked if we would be willing to create a ballot for their food truck festival. So this was just a fun partnership where we were able to create the ballot. Josh did that for our office. And so those that attended the food truck festival were able to vote on their favorite food truck, or I think that there was 3 or 4 questions on the ballot. But then we had our equipment out there too with precinct workers. So also getting folks that maybe don't always vote, at least familiar with the voting process. So hopefully that would not be intimidating. The other thing that we did, and I can pass these around, but created essentially an elections contact business card that has gone over really well with voters. They're able to just scan this QR code to get to our website, and then has the contact information on the back. All of this is incredibly important. I have learned pretty on, but realized that you really have to meet voters where they're at. So that's an example of the food truck festival, but also where they get their information, which is definitely more social media than traditional media. I believe that this stuff definitely strengthens public trust in the election process, but hopefully more importantly, it encourages voters to participate in local elections and stay informed. These were just a few social media examples that we did. The other thing that I talked to Gabby about early on when we wanted to expand our social media presence is my biggest one was transparency. I have nothing to hide when it comes to our election process, and I want our community to know all of the internal controls that we have in preparing for an election. When I first started, people asked me what I did the other 360 days of the year outside of election days, but it takes several weeks, even months, to plan for an election, so definitely wanted to make sure that we were letting the public know and being very transparent about our processes. So that first one is being very transparent about testing our voting machine equipment before it goes out on election day. We have voting machine techs for the county, and they're bipartisan teams, and so we create test decks that they're testing through just to make sure that the machines are reading as they should before they go out on election day. That second one there was actually from the December runoff election. I had the opportunity to go out and visit with all of our sites. So those are just some pictures of our precinct workers, and then talking about letting people know that the election's happening, what our hours are, that they can go to any one of the 10, so just getting that communication out there. On election night, we're always posting our unofficial election results. And then the last one might be my favorite, and something that I tout all the time is our post-election audit. That is so incredibly important. Just a reminder on that, the Secretary of State's office will draw at random a precinct after election day, so the election's all done, but they will draw at random a precinct where we have an audit team, again, a bipartisan team, that will come in and they'll pull out all of those ballots that were randomly selected from that precinct. In December, they picked one of our vote centers, so we pulled out all of those ballots that were sealed from the night before and did a hand count to make sure it matched the machine tape from election night. I think that's really important because you can't, it doesn't get more transparent than that if you're looking at the actual ballots. And that ever since we've been doing this, which has been a few years now, we've had 100% perfect match from what's being printed on the machine on election night to actually opening all those ballots and doing a hand count match. So I think it's important, again, just to build a public trust, but to let our residents know that every time the machine has counted those ovals accurately. Switching gears here to real estate. The real estate team records and maintains 75,000 parcels that we have here in Black Hawk County. They provide valuation data, they certify the budgets, they track valuations for 193 tax districts that we have here in Black Hawk County. You can see all the budgets that are certified for cities, schools, townships, community colleges, and also manage the TIF districts, which are a few more than we had last year. Why this is important is obviously it's important to make sure that people are getting the accurate property tax statement. We would never want to have to go back and ask people for more money. And then this department also supports those local jurisdictions with certifying their budgets. This is just some stats for what the real estate team has done in 2025. You can see that all of them are on track or have exceeded the prior year. So just a lot more work without a lot more staff. So kudos to this department. I never hear any complaints from them, even when I know things can get pretty trying, especially just like elections when this particular department is seeing a lot of legislative change too. So continuing to do more work with less and the same staff. So huge kudos to them as well. Some achievements that were made by the real estate team here in 2025. This was a big deal for Tim, as it should be, but he was able to roll over the tax list to the Treasurer's Department on July 17th, which was the earliest that's ever been done, by a couple weeks, I believe. Usually it's towards the end of July, so that was important. And then I don't know if the taxpayers would agree, but it also resulted of getting those bills out to them a little bit earlier, maybe for planning purposes. This was also new to the department that allowed parcels to be split through June. What that means really is that once we get into those property tax statements going out, that we can make sure we have more, it's closer to the time of those property tax statements going out where we're making sure that we can get that to the new owner. So we can account for any of those changes that happened in those past few months. This one should, I think, be important to the board. We completed the RFP to digitize the Board of Supervisor minutes. I really have been very anxious, especially in this role, to get those going. I'm happy to report that that process will start in January, but that will be, right now there's just no good way to archive our minutes. They're not digitized currently, and so you have to go back to the books. So trying to find something that even happened at the beginning of the year is really, really difficult. So moving to digitizing these meeting minutes and putting them in more of a searchable format just will be helpful to all of us internally, but also for the public. And then this was definitely a partnership, but I definitely a kudos to the team implementing a new pay structure for township trustees and clerks. This was a first update in the last, it had not been done in 25 years. So I think it was past due on giving those guys a little bit more money. They also do very important work. All of this improves our customer service and operational efficiency. Excited about modernizing our records and making sure that everybody has access to them, again, whether that's internally or externally. And I think that this is really important, and I'm not sure that the board or the public knows how much our staff is also known as statewide leaders in the auditor's office. So I had already mentioned Jen being recognized for her excellence in financial reporting. Also, Tim, Josh, and I, between elections or real estate, we go out and train other auditors and auditor staff across the state for statewide conferences. And then for me, I am the board chair for our statewide elections administrators training, and also a part of that curriculum. So I help to set that agenda and, like I said, train other auditors and auditor staff. A couple things that are not on there, but I suppose important to note. I was also selected to be on the Secretary of State's Advisory Council, which I was pretty honored to be on. There's only a handful of us, so it just gives us a seat at the table when the Secretary of State's office is wanting to introduce election legislation, so I think that that's important. And then I'm also, he appointed me to be on the Board of Examiners. What that means is he selected one Democrat and one Republican, so there's only just the two of us that test and certify all the voting machine equipment, whether that's a new update or a new system. So what all of this means, not great about giving myself accolades, but I think that this is really important for the Black Hawk County and the board to know that within our department, we are considered a statewide leader, and a lot of other counties rely on us for answers. So I think that that is just a great resource to have here locally, and also we are helping to shape those best practices around the state, whether that's in elections or real estate. Another thing that I just wanted to note that wasn't on here, also really proud of the staff that together collected about $400 to donate to the county VA and the local food bank, just wanting to be more a part of us giving back to the community. And then again, I said this earlier, but I just can't say it enough. Our department definitely saw a lot of change. And I know change is a little bit hard at first, but I just really want to give them kudos. They were very welcoming and open to change, even without quite knowing what that would mean for them. So I just really appreciate them trusting the process, and super excited about the work that we were able to do together this year, and looking forward to doing even more next year.
Kudos to you as well, but I was going to say quite a year. What do you think that's?
It has been quite a year.
And yeah, so.
Possibly looking forward to some downtime between Christmas and New Year.
Possibly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list, if he hasn't left the room, was information technology, our IT director, Al Yu. Are we going to be entertained?
I don't know, maybe?
I think so.
I'm gonna try.
I'd be surprised if not.
There will be a bus. Quit spoiling it. There will be a bus. Agreed. All right. So, morning board. Al, you IT director. Hold on to your seats because this is slide 1 of 100. Just kidding.
I know.
So we'll start with help desk stats. This year, as of yesterday, close of business, we closed 2,451 tickets. That is the highest that we have had so far since adopting a help desk ticketing system. I want to say the very first year we clocked in about 1,300, so it has definitely grown. The needs are never ending, so we try to meet people's needs. And so it's great to have a help desk system to measure these metrics. In the future, I hope to provide more statistics that kind of break down more details as in terms of the categories. What was the highest issue reported in the district, in the county? But yeah, this is just a good number to start with. So we did a thing. This is not an actual phone, but that is an AI-generated phone. So if there was ever a Christmas present for our department, it's this, finishing this project. It has been almost 2 years in the making. New phone system, countless meetings. I've lost track. I have to thank so many people for helping, because without their help, we could not have pulled this off. Specifically, the facilities department. They were with us from the very beginning on getting this started. They were instrumental in helping us deploy a lot of the phones in a lot of the departments. Thank our department, of course, and every department that we worked with in planning and staging this. There was so much homework. I haven't been in school for a long time. I haven't done this much homework. I mean, it's crazy. So, but it is really satisfying to see it all come together. And I have learned way more about a phone system than I want to know. And so I'm unofficially the expert of this new phone system, but that's okay, because I can cross-train everyone else. But so far, the feedback has been great. The call quality is good. There are some bumps on the road. We fully expect that. We'll keep addressing those little programming quirks. But overall, it's been a good system. Yes, thank you again for approving this project. So happy it's finally here. Next time they cut our fiber, our phones won't go down. It's going to be wonderful. So can't wait. Job Shadow. So every year we host the Waterloo Schools for Student Job Shadow. This year we have got 3 sections of kids from between East and West High. We intended to take them outside for a drone activity. Unfortunately, it was incredibly windy all 3 days they were here, and pretty cold. So to improvise, we allowed them to fly drones virtually. So in our conference room, that is actually a Nintendo Switch that is playing a drone simulator. So they can say they actually went to Job Shadow and played a video game, but it was actually a realistic drone simulator, and some of these kids did an incredible job. I don't have a picture of them taking apart the computer. I wish I would have gotten a picture of that, but they got to do that activity as well, so that's typically what we provide them. And then Natalie just kind of gave them some information about GIS, and surprisingly, most of them weren't aware of what GIS is, and so I think some of them may look into that, because they do offer that at the Waterloo School. So it's a great collaborative agreement we've had with them, and I look forward to having the kids every year. So they're fun to have. And I like candy, so I brought them candy.
Does the whole department participate, or is it just?
It's who we had at the time. Early on, we did have most of our department kind of pop in and out, but we had a lot of people out that day. So that's okay. A new first for us, we had a college intern. We never had one before. And I apologize for the picture in the arrow. We didn't get a good picture of Brady. His name's Brady Ellison. And so Natalie took him out on one of the drone days, and that's also Derek Schultz from engineering. And then we had 2 random kids that just showed up that wanted to be in the picture. So that's Brady in the middle. And Brady is a Hawkeye, a college student. He was great to work. He's kind of a quiet guy, but very smart, very knowledgeable, quick learner, and it was great having him. And so hopefully we can continue this next year. I think it's going to be a summer internship for us, so he was here from about June to August, so I look forward to the next one. All right, AI, that's like a buzzword, something like that, right? I will say that AI adoption is not huge in counties. I can't speak for the top 2 counties, but as I speak with my peers amongst the other counties, they're slowly using it. They're slowly seeing the benefits of it. And obviously, in my conversations with a lot of you, I fully embrace its use. I think it has lots of benefits, lots of efficiencies that can be gained. There's also some pitfalls with it, so you have to be careful with the information you feed into it. And so it is exploding, and I think even if you don't embrace AI in your own workflow, you at least have to know what it is, what it can do, recognize the output that it produces. I know sometimes it's really difficult to tell what's fake and what's real, but as you use AI more frequently, you will learn to kind of spot these things. And as adoption is increasing in our county, it's very important to have an AI policy. So we formed a committee to develop a policy. That committee consisted of Clint Hardman, Matt Strong, Aaron Reinke, Amanda Fesenmeyer, and myself. And we spent many months putting together what we felt was a really good policy. We brought it through policy review. Everyone took a look at it, and ultimately it came to the board for approval. So I thank you, board, for approving this policy. We are pretty proud of the work we put into it. In addition, we've offered introductory training to departments that would like to learn more about AI. So I think next up is we're going to have, in the new year, we're going to have some with the conservation department. So, and I will say this, with the AI policy, we have provided that policy to other counties, and a lot of them have actually adopted it. So pat ourselves in the back on that one, pretty proud of that. And we've had other people inquire about the, and it's not copyrighted, it's for anyone to use. And so we thought it was pretty solid. So happy to be helpful for everyone. Tyler server upgrade. So that happened back in, what did we say, June. And I think it may have given some people some extra gray hairs, but it was something that had to be done. It took about a week longer than I thought it was going to, and we have a whopping 7 servers that control all of our finance and property tax Tyler offerings, plus document scanning. So definitely had some bumps on the road, but I'm pleased to say we did survive. From a functionality standpoint, I don't think it improved a whole lot for staff, but it's something that needed to be done because those servers were reaching the end of their life. So I'm hoping that we don't do the next one super soon, but I think probably within 6 to 8 years it's going to rear its ugly head again. So, but that's okay. We now have experience. We know what to expect, right? And so we'll be ready for the next one. Oh, so the MS-ISAC conference. So here's a mouthful. MS-ISAC stands for Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. I have the honor of being elected to the executive committee of this nationwide entity. And what MS-ISAC does is they provide resources and help to state, local, tribal, and territorial organizations, so that's schools, cities, its main focus is for cybersecurity and to increase the cybersecurity posture for everyone. And so, I fully agree that if we are all stronger, if everyone's stronger, we are all stronger together. I was able to attend the first annual conference this past June. In this picture is all of the representatives from Iowa that showed up. So there's myself, the gentleman over here is the state of Iowa's Chief Information Security Officer, and most of you recognize this gentleman who's Secretary of State. And so it was great to get together with our fellow Iowa folks and kind of collaborate on some things. Definitely one of the more impactful conferences I've attended, and so I've been invited to attend next year, and I've been asked to present. So I don't know what yet. I think it's probably about AI. So, but I'm looking forward to that, and that'll be in June. So, but good experience. Very proud to represent everyone across the nations. Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Neff kind of mentioned about this, so I won't go into too huge detail, but this was a big project last year. It took a while to get approval, and then it took a while to also get it deployed, just logistics with planning and whatnot. So they got new body cameras, new car fleet cameras, tasers, and an interview room. I will say this, It has been an almost flawless system. There have been exactly one ticket put in regarding assistance on body cams since its deployment. That's incredible. Like the old system, can't tell you how many tickets there were. It was awful. So that is a testament to how well Axon stuff works. Are they the most expensive? Absolutely, but it does work. So I have to give them credit for that. In addition, the jail infrastructure is ran by a company called Securitas, formerly known as Stanley. And that upgrade happened in March, where we replaced all the network switches, the battery backup servers, and computers. So that has been helpful in a lot of the stability of their system. And I think the next step is to replace some video cameras. All right, GIS. One of the cool things we've been doing is, as part of the GIS suite, is a product called Survey 123. It's kind of equivalent to Google surveys and Microsoft surveys. One of the things we did was the wellness survey. So Natalie worked in conjunction with HR to send out that survey. We find that Survey 123 is more robust in terms of getting feedback and getting that information and those statistics back to folks. So I'm going to be a big advocate of using it in the future, and it integrates with a lot of Esri products. In addition, just with a collaborative effort with Gabby DeWitt, Natalie went out to fly and video the community gardens run. That community garden, I believe, is kind of close by Arby's in that area in Waterloo. And I believe there was a video published somewhere, but I don't have that information, so I can get that to you later. And then lastly, Natalie worked with elections regarding the boundary changes in redistricting. In addition, we use Survey 123 to provide the application for a college intern. Yes, that is a AI-generated bison that shows up at the end of the survey, completing the the form. So we couldn't help ourselves. It does look like we. No, that was completely AI generated. It's an original piece. Internal soils updates. So this is something working with the assessors department. Currently, we leverage software, and I believe we pay Sidwell, this company, to kind of calculate the soils for farmland. We are actually going to attempt to bring that in-house this year. So Natalie has taken it upon herself to work with one of our professional service vendors. We have some hours left over with them. So they're going to train her to calculate these soils so we can keep that in-house, save some money for the county, and possibly have more accurate data. So that's pretty exciting.
You said that's done for the assessor's office?
Correct. Yep. I don't pretend to be a farmland soils expert, but it's a thing. It's a big thing, I guess, and I believe they do it every other year to calculate that. So, but it's going to be big to do that in-house. And then lastly, advancing together, we worked with the public health department, particularly Aaron Reinke and Rachel Mayer. Natalie worked with them to get all that information that they pulled from Tableau regarding things like housing and food, and so it's great to kind of have this transparency to provide to the general public. This is not live yet, but it's just kind of a screenshot of what the data hub will look like. We're kind of in the preview mode with the stakeholders to kind of look it over and make sure that all the data is in there how they want it to be. And then once that has approval, then we'll kind of release that, publish that website, and then it'll be available to everyone to look at. So exciting stuff. 3D printer. So we bought this near the end of last year. And I will have full disclosure, I am not a 3D printing guy. I think it's really cool. I never took the time to learn it, and I don't know if I will have time. However, we have 3 people on our department that are very big enthusiasts of 3D printing. And so it's really cool what it does, and it's very practical. You know, most people think you just print little trinkets and things like that. No, we're actually printing things that are actually useful. Case in point. So this is one of the designs, and these designs were done by Corey Tim and Jason Browning. So these are original designs. So it's awesome that they are contributing to this. So this is a 3D printed mount for one of our microcomputers to mount underneath the computer desk. That mount is like $25 on Amazon. We printed this for less than $1. I mean, do the math. It's worth it. It pays for itself and then some. This was with the new phone system. We rolled out a new cordless phone in the jail kitchen. It had nowhere to be mounted. Jason quickly just took a picture of it, designed this little shelf. We mounted it. It works. It works great. It's so simple. Printed for pennies. Another thing is the YubiKeys. So these are the security keys that the sheriff's office has to use, and we also use them. So here's what one of them looks like. If you don't protect them, they're just plastic, so they get destroyed in your pocket, on your keychain. And so we print off these cool little key covers for them. If you buy these on Amazon, they're $10 a piece. We printed a whole bunch of them for pennies. So it's definitely producing cost savings for the county. And then here's something from the Treasury Department. Most people can't see this, but these are the 3 devices that control the digital, the queuing system. And so Corey created these blueprints to mount this on the back pole so that it can mirror out to those TVs, kind of behind the scenes. And then speaking of digital signage, on the left is the TV, and if you visit the new Treasury Department, they have 2 big TVs. On the right, one shows their queuing system. On the left is digital signage. So we worked with Gabby DeWitt to help create the slideshows for the signage, and that will provide information for the public. And we've had good feedback on that so far, and it's just controlled by this little device that plugs in. And coming soon, and you may have noticed it out in the hallway, we have 2 screens out there, and as soon as we get power there, those will provide signage information and also wayfinding, so it'll help direct staff to where they need to, or direct citizens to where they need to go. And then if this is successful, we might consider putting something down in the first floor and wherever else it's needed. Very low cost solution, so much lower cost than I expected, so pretty exciting. And then strategic plan. So we've spent a lot of time with our strategic plan, and I'm very proud of the progress we have made. And so this is how I'm going to show you guys something that the general public has not seen, but some of the department heads may have seen. Let me get this website real quick. If I can bring it up. There we go. And I'm just going to play it real quick. And so this is going to be a landing page that we can provide to the general public that kind of highlights everything that we're working on in our strategic plan. It's in a very fancy consumable format. I apologize, it is moving kind of fast, but I just wanted to show you guys real quick. And as we continue forth with our strategic planning, we can include updates on here that we're ready to show the general public. It's a pretty slick system. It's part of our Esri GIS. So, might as well take a few seconds. All right, so some things in the works on the horizon. So on the picture on the left, that is from the top, the 5th floor, what we call the penthouse. I don't know if you guys have been on the 5th floor. There's the 5th floor. It's really high up there. So we are working on a point-to-point internet connection to the JCS elections building. Part of the problem is there's a railroad track that runs across there. You can't run fiber underneath it. I don't like running fiber over top. So what we're going to do is run a wireless point-to-point internet solution. This way it saves the county money because we're not paying for another internet provider over there and setting up firewalls. We're just using the existing system and sending it straight across. So there's this, it's hard to see, but there's this little arrow right here of that building, and this is TJ from Facilities Department on the lift installing the other end of the point-to-point. So it's pretty cool technology. We currently have this at Big Woods. It actually has a mile range, which blows my mind. It can go a mile, and so it works very, very slick at Big Woods. So we have no doubt it's going to work very well for JCS. Currently, the only internet JCS in that building is for the courts, for the juvenile court system. And so getting this installed will help for elections in the future. Yay! Help with your training classes, and then also help with like the security camera system. So that they can be cloud-based and whatever we want to use it for. Long overdue.
How long did that take Al?
This,
To do that?
it's not ready yet. I think TJ did that in like within an hour's time, and then once every the two they're already in place, so the configuration it might take us a day or two to do afterwards. We have to install some network equipment to provide wireless access over there, so we still have a few steps left to do, but the hard part's done on the outside.
That's what I meant, the hard part, yeah.
Yep, we did not get out any ladders or any lifts, so we followed safety protocols, but not being in danger. Also on the horizon, we're doing an incident reporting project with Brad Metcalf, our safety coordinator. So what this is based on the ESRI Survey 123. And so if there is an incident, there will be a form internally that can be provided, and then this way Brad can track all these statistics, and then we can kind of act upon that. So we're looking forward to that. Next to it is LiDAR and indoor mapping. So our new cell phone has LiDAR capability. You can take that and do a 3D map. You can be your own human sprinkler, stand in the middle of the room and just move around in 360, and it will map the building. We don't actually have a 3D map of the whole building. We just have blueprints, just 2D. So one of Natalie's goals is to 3D map the entire courthouse, and this is just kind of a preview of what it will look like. In the future, you can tie that into the incident report, and you can pinpoint down to the location of where that would be. So pretty cool stuff there. And then lastly, just digitizing some septic surveys, and that's working with public health. So, and that's coming along. It's a long process, but it's coming along. So pretty exciting. And then also our server room. So just I have a few pictures here. On the left is when the framing was first there. Then that is in the middle. That is our battery backup. And then on the right you can't see it, but behind the rack in the middle is our fire suppression system. And then to the very right is the canister that pulls. I believe it doesn't pull the oxygen out of the room. It just targets fire. So it extinguishes it. And hopefully we will have that project finished up in the new year. And then can't wait to move our equipment in there and then have a good AC. Then, so lastly, there's a lot of things that we've done over the year, and if I were to make a slide for every one of them, we'd still be here. So for your convenience, I created a quick slide that highlights all of them in the style of Star Wars. So cue in the Star Wars theme. And you can read it real fast. You can see everything that we've done. You get on this, right? Yeah.
Got it. No.
I actually spent way more time doing this part than I wanted to, but I had to do something fun.
I bet you did.
And
It is very cool.
it is pretty cool.
It is. Could you slow it down if you needed to for readers, like if you were showing this?
I could. I can actually, if you really wanted to, I can provide you a bulleted list. This was just for fun. I don't expect any of you to read all this unless you're a speed reader.
No, but I just meant if you wanted to show it off to somebody sometime.
And then the last part, I really wanted the Death Star to be our logo, but I couldn't change that. So I threw a logo.
Oh, yeah.
So, the county Death Star, right?
You should have checked with Rory and seen about getting circles added to it.
And then lastly, Mike, this is for you, the bison is back. The bison is our unofficial mascot, of course. Gabby loves our bison. Not really, but she loves our bison.
Yes.
And so I just like to thank our department. We have some passionate professionals that love what they do, and we are nothing without them. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the board for always being supportive of IT, so we really appreciate you guys. And I want to thank all the awesome departments that we work with. Ted says two things. We want meaningful work and stellar coworkers, and I think you guys are all stellar. So I thank you all, and can I answer any questions?
Thank you for that, but boy, you put the innovation value that we've got, like, knock that out.
Trying
The
to.
whole department and you, so thank you so much. Yeah, that's great.
Hey Al, this is Chris. My only Question is that Death Star operational?
I don't think so. Been
All right.
close, eh?
Well, may the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he was done.
And I cannot wait to see part 2.
This is great, yeah, thank you.
All right,
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Thank you. Kathy's gonna entertain too, right Kathy? Hard to follow everybody, I'm sure, yeah, you'll do a great job. Then I'll ask for me to adjourn, are we there yet? I didn't feel like we have to ask too hard.
We've got people been online now for over 2 hours waiting for their issue.
Hey, are you still with me?
Yes,
Okay.
certainly are, thank you.
Good morning,
Thanks for
Board.
going on.
Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. I believe I'm the last formal presentation of the morning here. Well, then the morning will be up. So I'm pleased to present to you our 2025 highlights for the Blackhawk County Road Department. As you know, we're a busy department, driven by providing a safe, reliable, and efficient transportation system to all who travel on the Blackhawk County road system. I just want to highlight some of the secondary road maintenance work that we do day in and day out throughout the year. 2025 started out as a pretty low snow year, but at the end of 2025, we're shaping up to be a good old-fashioned winter, it looks like. We were able to re-rock about 20 miles of district rock throughout. We have 9 districts, so we are re-rocking approximately 35% of all the gravel road miles every year. We're continuing to get that done. Our own bridge crew, we did replace the structure on Mount Vernon Road between Streeter Road and Wagner Roads, and I'll allude to this in my next slide. And then we also replaced a timber deck on Ordway Road Bridge, and that's a photo of that, and I have showed you several pictures of our Ordway Road Bridge replacement in the past. We also have done all kinds of other routine maintenance items such as plowing snow, replacing culverts. We replaced approximately 14 new crossroads pipes for about 530 feet. And we also installed about 14 new driveway pipes. Mowing ditches and, mowing shoulders and cleaning ditches are also some of our tasks that we do every year. This is our bridge crew replacing the structure on Mount Vernon Road Bridge. So this is looking to the south, the southeast. In the very background in the photo, you can see the Mount Vernon Cemetery, Township Cemetery. So I've told you in the past how our bridge crew is building beams in the winter when we are not plowing snow. They are building these bridge beams. It takes 4 bridge beams to build a new structure. These beams are typically 35, 40, or 45 foot in length. I believe this one was 35 foot in length. And you'll see here when I start the video, our process. So we have 2 beams set. The trailer shows up with the 3rd beam. It's an exterior outside beam. You can see the guardrail posts on the exterior of the bridge there. And you can see that green guardrail system that our crew uses to keep the worksite safe. They move it to the exterior of the bridge then when they are finished. And then they will come back, of course, with the 4th beam to complete the bridge, the structural portion of it. Okay, moving on with our contract maintenance work. Of course, we do pavement markings every year, we do crack sealing every year, and we do seal coating every year. These numbers are very similar to what we've done in the last 3 to 4 years, very similar to last year's numbers. Last year, we did not grind any coating strips, aside from what we did in a resurfacing project. We typically are resurfacing 3 to 5 miles of asphalt pavement a year. We were able to get that done this year with a contract through Aspro. We resurfaced 4.5 miles on Tama Road between Dysart and the LaPorte city limits. Aspro was able to complete that on time and under budget, about 6% under budget. This photo shows the recycle train, fully placed recycling train. Moving on to our contract bridge project this past year, was actually a large box culvert on Dubuque Road between Pilot Grove Road and Canfield Road. It was completed on time, and we are still working out the final numbers. The contract costs were about $495,000. We're working with Katie Construction to close this out, but it looks to be like the final contract cost will be about $500,000, so pretty close to our contract cost. This was taken in the fall. This photo, you can see the new asphalt on top of the roadway. That's about the width of the project. You'll see that in the next slide. And then the green tint here is the hydro seeding that roadside biologist applied with the seed and the mulch to get it to stick down to the ground. And then of course you can see the north end of the new box culvert. About 85 feet long, and it was 2 twin 12-foot wide double box culverts, what we call it. So moving on, this was the project site approximately in the beginning of April. You can see on the right side of the photo where the contractor has diverted the creek. This is looking to the southeast from above Dubuque Road. And you can see that as the video starts to play here, you can see that K Construction, the concrete is being poured into the concrete bucket, and then it's being transported over to the floor of the new culvert. And you can see the crew there is placing the concrete on the floor over the green steel. They are vibrating the concrete and then striking that off as they move to the north. This photo.
Is it from a drone?
Yes, this is from our drone, that Derek, our GIS coordinator. He does all the flying for us in conservation. So speaking of drones and Derek, our GIS technician, we do a lot of coordination, of course, with other county departments. We probably do the most coordination with the Conservation Department. We share a position with the Conservation Department, and that is our GIS technician. We pay for 60% of Derek's time, and Conservation pays for 40% of Derek's time. So we spend a lot of time working together. He provides us with mapping products, asset management products, and then all of these fancy drone footages. We have also provided the Conservation Department with some engineering assistance this past year. They are doing a resurfacing project on portions of Hickory Hills, the headquarters building on Airline Highway, and then several parking lots at McFarland Park. We did all the engineering and helped them let that project. We will also be administering that contract when it comes time to build it with Aspro in the spring. Some of our other collaboration takes place with the small cities here in Black Hawk County. As you know, when we resurface a roadway, oftentimes we will go up to their city limits and even go into the city limits, and they will participate in a portion of those costs as they go through their city. Our Raymond Road project next summer, we will be touching both the city limits into the city of Gilbertville, as well as going into the city limits of Raymond, as we resurface from Gilbertville up to Dubuque Road. We've been working recently with the city of Waterloo. They have a portion of Donald Street that we will be resurfacing next year, a 4-mile stretch, and 2 miles of that is in the city limits of Waterloo on the north side of the road. So they'll be paying for some of those costs. And then I've talked to you over the last few years about the work we've been doing with the city of Cedar Falls on Viking Road and Union Street. Okay, roadway safety is of course our #1 priority out on the roads in Black Hawk County. Our fatality rate is similar to what it was last year. The 2024 rate was 4 fatalities. And as of today, in 2025, we've had 3 fatalities in Black Hawk County. So those numbers are holding steady. If you recall, I talked to you earlier in the year about our intersections on our paved roads here in Black Hawk County. We took some time last winter to look at Iowa DOT crash data with our paved road intersections and came up with some small improvements to an intersection at Canfield Road. We installed more additional stop signs on the right-hand side of the roadway, the left-hand side of the roadway, so there are now 2 stop signs in each direction at that intersection, going north and southbound. We also received our local road safety plan. This was provided to us from a consultant hired by the Iowa DOT. One of these plans was provided to each county here in Iowa, and this was actually an update to us here in Black Hawk County because we had another one completed about 4 years ago. This was an update. We will be using that to make decisions on resurfacing projects at intersections, curves, and straightaway portions of roads. And I also wanted to mention that the Iowa Department of Transportation is seeing a dramatic reduction in fatalities on the primary system in 2025. As of yesterday, there were 254 traffic fatalities on the primary system here in Iowa. That number has not been that low since 1925, so I think that is remarkable. The DOT is attributing some of those crash reductions, those fatality reductions, to fewer run off the road crashes, and that is being attributed to the edgeline rumble strips that are being placed on all DOT routes and the 6-inch pavement markings. We are also incorporating some of those same features in our projects. That's why I mentioned that. The local road safety plan provides us places where we are also able to do that, where the effective data shows that it would be effective to use those same types of countermeasures on the county roads. We currently have probably 10 miles of rumble strips in the county, as well as we do have portions of roadway that do have 6-inch pavement markings on our system. So we're hoping in time that we also see some more reductions.
Kelly, what does the DOT consider primary? What do you say, primary
The
system?
primary system would
Right.
be roads that are in their jurisdiction. And I can certainly provide you with maps, so anything with the state highway number as well as the interstates, US highway systems, those are all DOT jurisdiction.
Does the data reveal like cause? I would assume cell phones have a great deal to do.
So they have, the traffic safety branch is mentioning that. They are saying that it might be a little bit premature to start taking credit for the new change in the law because the DOT just passed on July 1st, as you know. And the DOT has not given out any violation fines for that. They will start doing that January 1st, but of course they are hoping that that makes a difference in the coming years. Traffic fatalities continuing to go down.
Knowing that a lot of people still won't follow it, would installation of more rumble strips prior to the main intersections be something we could get ahead of? Maybe identify those, and I assume you guys are.
So absolutely, and we do have in Black Hawk County, we do have a set of 3 rumble strips on all of our paved road system before stop signs. So these would be the edge line rumble strips and the center line rumble strips that the DOT is implementing on all of their routes now.
So edge and center, but not in the center of the lane, is that what you mean?
Yeah, so on a 2-lane roadway, you would have it on both edge lines, and you would have it down the center on a DOT route.
Gotcha.
And we're implementing some of those countermeasures on that countermeasure on some of our roads.
Okay.
Moving on to our roadside management program. We've talked to you quite a bit about that over the last few years. It's still a relatively new program. We are continuing to see our roadside manager plant more acres in our roadside prairie program. In 2025, he planted 12, or got 12 signed up and 10 planted, and last year I think the number was 8. He's continuing to apply chemicals, spot spraying as necessary along the county road system. And this year we were able to acquire a Vermeer chipper through the IRBM program, and I think that's a future agenda item here. Moving on, we are making progress on a new facility We did have Envision Architecture complete a needs study for us. And there were primarily 3 needs that came out of that. New office space for current employees at the secondary roads facility, mechanics, improving or renovating, rehabilitating our mechanics work areas, and then continuing to keep our equipment under cover, such as our snow plows, our motor graders, keeping those in storage, out of the elements, protecting them from hail, for example, but also protecting them if a fire were to break out in the county facility, because we currently do not have a sprinkle storage system for that equipment. In order to help us make progress with that, we were able to change the local option sales tax with the help of all of you, get the local option sales tax language changed that would allow us to now repay bonds for any type of future building, any type of future equipment purchases, as well as road and bridge construction. We have visited 2 other counties, nearby counties, that are also either just finished some type of new facility or are in the process of building a new facility. And we have also studied extensively how much we feel like this department can afford for a new facility and still be able to provide good quality roads and bridges in Blackhawk County. I just wanted to mention strategic planning. This has been difficult for this department. Primarily because we don't see each other that often. We see each other 1 or 2 times a year. We know that is very important to cohesive strategic planning message. I would say our staff is very interested in the strategic planning message. We know we need to meet more frequently, so we're planning on having quarterly meetings in 2026 and being able to talk about some of the strategic plan. Our managers have attended the formal training, and we are looking for how we can incorporate some of those messages that we learned about with the entire staff in the roads department. I just wanted to mention a few other accomplishments I've done this year. Of course, we have all kinds of statistics, such as work orders processed, oversized, overweight permits. We are seeing a dramatic drop-off in those just due to fewer tractors being produced by John Deere the past 6 months in particular. We've installed 25 911 signs. We've hired a new civil engineering technician and a new IRBM technician. And then these are some photos of, I told you that we were able to visit 2 nearby counties that have either constructed a new building or are in the process of constructing a new building. These were taken at Lynn County in October when we visited their new facility. And we have also started a new employee engagement committee, and those are the members of our committee in the top row, along with the Lynn County employees. Just a couple more slides. We want to get through the 27 budget process, and we would like to continue to work on making progress towards a new facility in the next 2 to 3 years. Our next step would be beginning some architectural design process in 2026, and then also integrating more strategic planning with the entire staff into our daily operations. We recently lost our shop foreman to another opportunity. We would like to integrate a new shop foreman, rehire someone, and integrate our fleet management software into our daily work at our shop facility, and be able to make more decisions using Fleetio, our fleet management software. So that's a big goal of ours that we'd like to really make progress on in 2026. We feel like it can help us be more efficient and save money in the long run. So just to close, I want to say thank you for all your support, and can I answer any questions?
Keep going. I think I asked this earlier in the year and I've forgotten what your response was, but GPS on the snow plows, do we currently have that Is that something we have explored?
We do have GPS on our snowplows that only the department can see. It's not public facing, the public can't see it, but we can track our snowplows. For example, if we get a call that we have not plowed this gravel road, for example, or this paved road, any road on our system, we sprayed, it's also on much of our equipment. We are able to track the movements of county employees to find out those answers, like we haven't plowed a road, for example, we can find that out. That's really true.
Do you think, would it be helpful or beneficial for the public to be able to see, like just keep tabs, like wintertime particularly?
So we've explored that. I don't know if we have the technology available right now to allow them. Our license probably does not allow us to do that with our GPS provider. But we are certainly looking at, that's one of the reasons we've been visiting other counties. Lee County currently allows the public to see. They have cameras on some of their snowplows. We are looking at that. I don't want to commit that we're certainly not doing it this winter for sure. We just don't have the technology yet. So we are looking at that.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, that's a full program in itself.
Oh boy.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to number 4, claims and payments. This is the resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue payments against the various settlement of such claims as allowed.
So moved. Second.
You sure?
Jump in for Michelle here and try to do her justice, but want to highlight a few of our payments, our larger payments that we're going to be making this week. We're doing a payment to juvenile court services for $88,000. We have several, well, 3, but they're pretty high. Payments to Peters Construction for the big bulk of that is going to public health. And I'm guessing this is a final payment to VA, but the bulk of that is for the public health remodel. And then also making a payment to Clifton, Larson, and Allen for the audit, which is $35,000. Sorry, I did go back. The court services is $88,000. The 2 public health payments are, one is $298,000, the other one is $189,000. And then the payment to Clifton, Larson, and Allen is $35,000. The total claims payment to be made today is $1,169,736.13. And I believe she also highlights the 60/40 fund. That payment out of there is $2,932.79, with 95% of that being to go to pay for courthouse security. Everything appears to be in order.
So no questions. Roll call vote, please.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 5, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials. Okay.
I was gonna say, how many we missed today?
Really? Yeah.
Hi, Gabby DeWitt, Marketing Coordinator. I just wanted to let the board know that we do have 3 winners in the snowplow naming contest. We will be naming Chuck Norris, submitted by Robert Kraft of Waterloo. Plow Patrol for the kids, submitted by actually a public health employee, Madison Gardner, who lives in Waverly. And Plowabunga from Ramona Roskop, who actually lives in Cedar Rapids. So we will be I've talked to the winners, they're super excited, they get to meet their plow in January, working with the road crew to get those decals on the trucks. And speaking to Kathy saying about collaboration, the prizes that the winners get actually come from conservation, and so they got to choose between
How's it going?
tickets to Maple Syrup Festival.
Good.
Or
I just shoved
one
a
or
great big
two
old
night
piece
stay
of
at,
food in my mouth, and
either
I'm
a
like,
rustic
oh man.
either a rustic or a modern cabin. So the collaboration is really great. It's a great way for us
I
to
know.
highlight
I'm like,
the-
hurry up, shoot.
It's a great way for us to highlight the features of conservation as well. So that'll be made public today. It's officially public. So thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay. Minutes, item 6, minutes approved for December 9, 2025.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, minutes are approved. Later this morning, or maybe this afternoon early, we'll have 2 hearings. The first one for rezone ordinance number 77-302 for Worrell, and rezone ordinance number 77-303 for Keating. Item 8 is the consent agenda. Following item is acted upon by resolution. So if anyone wishes to pull the intergovernmental journal entries, I doubt. So this is a roll call vote.
We need a motion.
Yes,
I'll
we
make
do.
the motion.
In a second.
Second.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 9, contracts and agreements. This is a resolution of contract with Accessible Blue LLC, Cedar Grove, New Jersey, for accessibility services for all 5 county websites in the amount of $7,000 be approved and direct the chair to sign for same as recommended by website committee.
So move.
Second.
Gabby DeWitt, again, marketing coordinator representing the website committee, just here to answer any questions that you might have. Mike has had a chance to review the agreement and was satisfied with the liability language. And some of the highlights of the agreement is that Accessible Blue was the lowest cost per hour vendor that we talked with, and one of the only vendors that, if when working with them, we could spread it across all 5 websites. We didn't want something that was only going to address the main Blackhawk County website, but we really need to look at the other 4 websites as well. And the scope of work, I did send you the agreement last week, but the scope of work includes analysis of the website, will help us come up with our conformance plan for the accessibility guidelines, and then training for staff and ongoing technical consultation.
Thank you both
I know
for
you're
your
busy.
involvement.
I just
know
call
it's a
you.
little longer process than what we initially thought.
It was a little bit, but I mean, we always want to make sure that our contracts are vetted by our legal team and that it's something that the board feels comfortable with, so we appreciate Mike's time on that.
And yours too, going back and forth, so thank you.
Well, I've learned a lot already, so it's been a really good learning opportunity for me just so far, and so I'm looking forward to the more opportunities to learn.
Are there any questions? Let's roll call vote.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item B, resolution of the agreement between Blackhawk County and the Iowa Department of Transportation for the Living Roadway Trust Fund grant to purchase a wood chipper in the amount of $15,000 with a county match of $71,805.82. Total cost was $86,805.82. Be approved and direct the chair to sign for same as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So move. Second.
Yeah, so by signing this agreement, we are able to submit reimbursement for the $15,000 for the grant that they previously approved us. The grant this will allow us to receive reimbursement. And like we said, the actual cost of the chipper was $86,800. We did receive $15,000 from the grant.
Any questions? This resolution roll call vote.
Brant,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item C, resolution that the lowest responsible bid received from Mass Pro Inc., Waterloo, Iowa for project LFM-5031-7X-07 HMA resurfacing on Raymond Road with a total bid of $1,076,192.70. with an engineer's estimate of $1,175,025.12 be awarded, and direct the chair to sign resolution authorizing the county engineer to sign the contract and receive and place on file contractor's bond and certificate of insurance as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, county engineer.
So moved.
Second.
If you recall, we did open bids in the boardroom last Tuesday, and Casper was the only bidder. I've also just mentioned to you many times previously that we are getting reimbursed from the city of Gilbertville, a small amount, about $10,000, and then the city of Raymond will be participating in about $225,000 for in this contract as well. And this is scheduled for construction next summer.
This resolution, if there's no questions, roll call vote please.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item D, resolution that the lowest responsible bid received from Peterson Contractors, Inc., Rhinebeck, Iowa, for project LFM-3038-7X0-07, bridge repairs on Washburn Road with a total bid of $784,088.95. Engineer's estimate was $750,000. Be awarded and direct the chair to sign resolution authorizing the county engineer to sign the contract and to receive and place on file the contractor's bond and certificate of insurance as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, county engineer.
So moved.
Second.
So again, we did open these bids in the boardroom a week ago. We received 3 bids. PCI was the lowest by quite a bit, a little bit higher than our engineer's estimate, but frank, we're not necessarily the experts at doing this type of estimating for a project. PCI has a lot of experience with building cofferdams, building roadways, causeways in rivers. This will be, this is the large bridge over the Cedar River at Gilbertville, so we're pretty confident that PCI will be able to complete the work. And it does seem like a fair price to do the work, so I recommend that you approve the award to them.
Yeah, they give a time frame on how long it'll take to get it fixed.
That's a good question, Justin. I think we're pretty flexible on this contract because it's not immediate need. It's all being done under a bridge. It's not.
Oh, I see.
There should just be one day where we're closing, having any type of impact to traffic. So I think we're giving them most of the year, next 2026, to do the work. So I can get back to you on that. I know we talked about how many working days, or if we're giving working days at all. I don't recall, but I can get back to you on this.
Okay.
The question I had on Kathy is, knowing this kind of unique work that has to be done for these piers, for the bridge, and I don't know, I'm taking it that PCI has done this kind of work before. We're not the first time they've done this.
Right. So they constructed the Brandon Road Bridge over the Cedar Forest as well as the Cedar Wapsie.
Okay.
The bridge over the Cedar, and we need to build containment structures or cofferdams around those piers and de-water it, pump out all the water, because the deterioration of the bridge pier, of course, is at that interface with the water level, and that's where the work needs to be done. So we're pretty confident that they will be able to build these cofferdams. They just finished doing this same type of work up at Waverly. I mean,
Right.
it's similar to building a new bridge in the fact that you have to put cofferdams around piers.
Okay.
Yeah, we're pretty confident that they, or any of our bidders, frankly, would have been able to complete the work.
And that's paid for through the road fund?
So this is being paid for with, let's see if I can tell you that. I think we're using some federal bridge money, I believe, or no, excuse me, this was locally led, so it will be paid for using local option sales tax funding. I can get back to you on that as well, because it's probably a combination of several different funding sources.
Right. That's all I have. Thank you.
No further questions, this resolution, please answer your names.
Brant,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 10, other business, I think Larry left the room, did he not?
Yeah.
This is a motion to approve the Urban County Coalition 2026 legislative priorities.
So moved.
Second.
Then move the second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item B is the motion that the holiday schedule for Blackhawk County offices for 2026 be approved as follows. Now that I need to listen, is there anything I was gonna say that you think worth noting for 2026?
No, we just always set the January 1st one early, so that's 2027, but these are the holiday schedule that we'd like to start with departments, and it's in accordance with collective bargaining in our policy for holidays, but Christmas Eve and Christmas Day will not be a 3-day situation next year, so, but no, nothing notable with this, just a recommended approval for the holidays, so we can get those calendars out and get them posted for 2026.
So moved.
Second.
The motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Same sign, motion carries. Item C is a motion that the personnel requisition for a human resources intern temporary in the HR department be approved as recommended by Amanda Fessenmeyer, HR Director.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item D, motion that the travel request submitted by Amanda Fessenmeyer, Human Resources Director, be approved and to direct the chair to sign for same at an estimated cost of $4,866.98 for Anna Knapp and Amanda Fessenmeyer to attend the National Public Employer Labor Relations Association Annual Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, from April 18th to April 23rd, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
I want to know, I did not turn in the form, I did it on Excel spreadsheet, so I will send you guys the form. After this, I just realized I would have said direction to the chair to sign for same, I thought, but I didn't include that in my attachment, so I will get that sent up, at least I'm pretty sure I forgot it. It's just the language, but
Do you want to comment on anything about it?
sure.
or-
Just, yeah, that this is the, this is budgeted travel request, and it's the second time that we've included 2 members from the HR team. This most recent year, actually last fiscal year in June, Chair and I went to Portland, and this will be Anna's first time attending the national conference, and appreciate the ability to do that. I have encouraged some department heads to consider coming to this national conference. That was one thing that our consultant from strategic planning encouraged, that you go to one of your own and try to go to one of another department's. So I have encouraged our marketing coordinator to attend, as well as a few others. We see a lot of law enforcement presence in leadership roles at these conferences now more than recently, as well as finance directors as well. So those might be people that I encourage to attend, just because with HR, there's a number of things that come up, whether it's collective bargaining, whether it's the costing of proposals, whether it's AI or ADA, in the case for Gabby, having to really fine tune that whole process with the new requirements under ADA. So but I am not paying for those. They will have to request that under their own budget. So, but just beware, yeah. And no, we're excited to go to Charlotte, or to North Carolina, and any questions? We do have pre-conference things on Sunday, so we fly out of Waterloo. We are going to do that for the first time. Typically we go to Cedar Rapids, but we're flying out of Waterloo, and then we'll be there. We have Sunday conference, I guess, events, and then we should be heading back Thursday. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Same sign, motion carries. Item E, motion that the retirement of Deputy Joseph Schmidt on January 30th be gifted his duty service weapon, as is the policy of Blackhawk County to gift a deputy sheriff with his duty service weapon, provided he leaves county employment in good standing and through voluntary retirement in accordance with the Iowa Public Employees Retirement System established guidelines and regulations.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Same sign, motion carries. Item F, this says discussion. Do you want to wait till next week and for a discussion or no?
No, I'm ready to start moving. I don't know if, the whole thing is getting with TJ again, doing a round of town halls, similar to what we did back in June with understanding property assessments and property values. And what I'm asking is approval to have Gabby help me with, we want to do the QR code and trying to track what was all there. And also start getting word out about people getting their exemptions, filed for their property exemptions as well, as part of this.
So so this one is the same as what you've done
Yep.
previously?
Doing the exact same thing. I know we did the last ones with, you were at both of those. There's board meetings, I don't know if you've come to one of them or not yet, but simply just trying to help TJ and getting the information out. And I show a little bit of my personal home values, our process, and how people can relate.
Yeah, it was well received by people, was it not?
Oh, very well,
Yeah.
yeah. And we had a problem in the timeline in June, getting the word out, starting earlier than now, and trying to make sure we're filling up our room with people with the education. It's the purpose of trying to get the word out as soon as possible. That's why I didn't want to wait till next week.
Okay.
We want to get things moving so we start getting.
Yeah, I know, and I understand that too, because I thought that's probably what we're trying to do. My questions were gonna be related to the fact that when you did it before, I think we'd had the discussion about it being kind of board directed and board, and us doing a communication plan and doing that type of thing, and I know we hadn't done that yet. And the fact that, what's different about this, there's nothing different about it, except we'd like us to, like, authorize using county's resources.
Correct. And basically it's for helping people get signed up for it.
Yeah.
So we know who's gonna show up and use the QR code.
I don't know my thoughts on it. I was just thinking, and I will tell you why I was holding off on this. I was doing some ideas and thoughts because we talked about the communication plan and said, we'd all sit down or kind of all have some discussion on it and see what we want to do as a county, and then what we want to do as individuals is up to us. I think we've already established that we can do our own things, our own personal things, and what we want to do, but what we do as a county are the things that we ask of staff and resources and whatever we do. And so I wanted to have that conversation, and that's why even I thought too, if we made some attempts to try to have it next week, that's why I thought maybe that would help. But I want to have been, like I said, just throwing ideas and thoughts together for myself so that we could present it. But when I saw Ted's, and I was gonna ask you about it specifically, because I know you've been attending some of those sessions this last session. And when I saw what Amanda had sent us out to, it was about facilitating us to identify role, clarity, governance, and accountability for value expectations and establish strategic goal or strategic plan rigor. I thought, okay, I won't even say anything or put anything on an agenda. Let's hear what he has to say or how we go about doing some of this, because I think that's important to us. I think it's just been a lot this year we've been going through, as we see with meetings and things, but I just thought that's why I was waiting on that, so it wasn't to say don't do these or anything, but just kind of wait a bit and have that. And since it's only it's still this month, was what I was.
Yeah, the first one's scheduled for January 28th at Cedar Falls Library. The second one's February 24th. So Wednesday in January and Tuesday in February at the Warren Library.
Any of us could also be present.
Yes.
So.
We can all be present, that's not the issue. When you mentioned I went really just for my own learning to see how many people would attend and what the questions and things would be. But it's very different when it's still the county, going to, it's not that we can't go to any of these and all for anybody's or things that you do, but I meant things that you want to do, things that Chris may want to do. I know Tatus went to the library thing, things that Justin may want to do. Those are, I think, helping us decide what's personal and what we go and do and want to do individually versus what the county kind of says, this is what the county wants to do. And it may only be 3 of us that would say, that we agree with it. 2 of us maybe still say no. So, but it's once we had 3 people to say, yes, we're going to do this and this is what we'd like our plan to be or whatever going forward. I understand we can do that for this one, and you could have 3 votes for this and that would do it. want us to be careful, I guess, going forward with what we establish for each of us doing our own thing versus, like, if all of us decided we want to do something similar and do it ourselves, like you're doing this one, I asked the same of Gabby, and I'm not sure, those are the things I think we had to be careful about, of all of us using staff resources and time for our own personal.
That's why we're here asking today.
But you're really asking us to approve what you want to do personally.
Well, I asked about doing this in June about, as a county board, and we approved that. And we approved it as board meetings that would all be there in case somebody asked, we're not making any decisions, but all of the 5 of us could be there. So I'm looking at doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, but do you not see a difference in the fact that if we all kind of endorse it or sanction it and say, this is something we want you to do for us, or this is something we're all gonna have a part in. This is designed kind of like just for you and TJ to go do, and you picked up the dates.
This is open for any of the board members to be part of. I said that back in June. And I asked about doing something with our priorities that we put forth in, when it comes to community outreach is further down the line. And it seemed like, oh, we're just gonna wait. Well, this is not just waiting, this is actually trying to put something in place to work up to that being one of our priorities to work on for the county.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's something that we have to sit here and wait on. It's an issue out there that people have an interest in. So.
Well, it's something we should do. I'm not saying, like, I thought the communication plan and what we want to do as a county is important. Boy, you talked about
I've been
outreach
asking,
to rurals, well,
and Davis brought forward something he did with the health department with Caitlin. That wasn't sanctioned, didn't come to the board for approval.
No,
I'm doing this because I think this is something that we should be all involved with and helping educate people what their property values are. This is a function of the county government in trying to communicate with the people of our county on how county government works.
oh, I don't disagree with you that you think that is, but that's something that the county should do, and whether we should do it or not as a county, or you do it personally, it doesn't mean it takes away from anything if you bring it to the community.
Right.
I don't mean
So are you saying you do not agree with
that.
doing something like this?
I don't agree with doing it this way. I'd like us to have a plan, I'd like us to say, and go forward with it, or even if it was just doing whatever we're gonna do for these types of topics, if there's a certain, I don't mean you have to wait till we roll out this big plan, I don't mean to have to hold that up at all, to say, let's start talking strategic communicating, you know, I'm not saying that, oh, let's take months to do that, Rich, I really am not. And in the meantime, we can do something even to say, what are the things we wanna hit targets for, you know, for the next 6 months or year or whatever, and do some of those things and try them out, because I think there is maybe some benefit to hosting and looking at subject matter and maybe what we can do and what people want to hear from us. Those 2 events, I would say, weren't well attended for your efforts or anyone else's to go and present and have 6 people and 8 people, and some of them were married couples. Nothing against both of them wanting to learn, but, you know, to get
We
the
got a
most
2-week
bang for
period. That was one of the problems for getting information. That's why I'm starting now and having a full month ahead of time. And actually 2 months if you look at January or February to help fill those rooms. Because last time we had a very narrow window to try and get people there to sign up for it. But,
And we're just asking TJ, Gabby, yeah,
and to do it, yeah, to do, like I said, it wasn't that I'm opposed to you doing it, it was just that, I guess, to make sure we're not, if we're going to be going in all different directions, like Tavis doing what he did, now that shouldn't have been staff use of staff time and stuff either. I mean, that shouldn't have been I wasn't saying it just for you, it's like if somebody had wanted to ask Gabby to promote it as well, I think that's the whole point of what we talked about early. All of us pulling, Mike Galloway said the same, Ted touched on it a little bit. I don't know if that's where he's going with this at all, but it was, you know, like using staff or overusing staff for things that we want to accomplish versus like, here's what we can do, here's what staff, they heard it from all of us, we voted, we support it, and they don't have any question about should they do it or not? There's just those kind of things. I just want to make it easy for everybody.
Well, no, it sounds like it's trying to put hindrances, because this has been the second round where I'm trying to do something to communicate with the general public on services of the county, and there's more hindrances from this process when we're trying to do something. And I've been open for anybody who wants to do something else, but I ain't the only one. Tavis brought up this thing with the health department, which was great.
Well,
I think we all should be taking
the
the
did it. I don't think he brought it
But
up.
we've been sitting here for now 6 months, trying to come up with something for outreach, and nobody else has come up with anything, or even asked to sit down and do something further, because it's further down on the road. When we got people right now are asking for this information, why are we waiting? Is it we waiting because we're not doing the part that you feel needs to be done first? Because I'm a little lost here when we're trying to communicate what our services are, and we're putting roadblocks up and doing it in a timely manner.
I think just with property tax always being the highlight of any discussion from people, they maybe they don't even know what questions to ask, and I'd rather if the staff is willing, able, and interested to participate, I'd rather have people hear it straight from them as opposed to me try to slip up on a couple things, like try to give my own explanation to them on here's the how and the why with how this stuff goes, and then I misspeak and give some incorrect information. In my opinion, it's an easy yes to go forward with it. I don't think, because Gabby's on salary, right? TJ's on salary, so it's not going to incur any overtime expense. So I don't see that unless I'm missing something, there's not really any cost incurrence. Yeah, I would make the motion to go forward with it.
How do you want it? What's your motion? To approve
Motion to approve. Let me look back at the item.
using county funds?
Yeah, using county resources.
Yeah, this is Chris. My only question is, if the subject is property tax, is TJ enough? I mean, if we're just talking about property assessment, like he can speak to all that, but if we're actually talking about levies and rollbacks and how all that factors in, I'm
No,
not sure
Chris,
that's
no, that's not part of it. It's just a valuation process.
okay.
Strictly, that's all we're talking about.
But it could.
Yeah, then I just want to be clear then that we're talking about evaluation and not levies and stuff, so that people are walking away with the right information. I don't have a problem with these town halls. When this came up before, I listed off a bunch of potential locations of where we would go and have strategic plan rollout town halls. And yeah, I understand that part is now delayed because it's gonna be later in the process, but I've done a number of town halls over the years. I've always done them on my own, but I don't really mind this. I mean, I think it's a relevant topic, and um, I would suggest that maybe the way to really reach a lot of people is to create a very short but compelling social media video that would actually reach a lot of people on this. But I don't have a problem with town halls and using TJ for this, and using Gabby's role would just be to help create some of the promotional materials.
Promotional, and then Gabby helped last time with the QR code, getting names for people signing up to attend. Just so we have an
I
idea
mean,
when we're going into the meeting.
all right. I mean, it takes about a minute to create a QR code.
Try to
She
record
didn't
it, yeah.
intend to be recorded too.
Is that a second?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second.
So we've got a motion and a second, might as well do resolution, I guess, because you know where I'll be on this, but yeah. And I'd still, with the understanding of, I want us to do something different next time. We're gonna do it this time, and I know that doesn't mean it's gonna be shot down every time we do an item like this, if it's not fast enough for you. But just saying, I want a better understanding of what this is gonna be and going forward to, I guess, because we have multiple staff, and we've asked them, I think when Mike Galloway spoke, that, you know, he made it very clear that we have our personal missions that don't involve staff because of the resources and the direction of us doing. And yet there were elected officials in TJ and certain individuals if they wanted to do it. But that staff gets in a very awkward position between supervisors and that type of thing, and I want to avoid those at all, at times, if we can, Rich. So it's just, the more we can use our staff who are the experts, I agree. I don't want to do it. I don't care how long I've been here. I don't want to be the one that's out there speaking to the numbers and how they were calculated and done and the work done on roads and that type of thing. I can make my comments and that type of thing, but that's a very different kind of format. And I just want to be sure we use the experts when we are out there speaking, because people will think of us speaking for the county every chance we're seeing. So I just like the staff doing their jobs, and they do so well, and thanks. So, enough on that. Roll call vote, please.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Lakeland.
No. Moving on to the hearing at 12:10. Joseph, we're glad you're still here with us. There's a motion to receive, this is a hearing on the rezone ordinance number 77-302 for Worrell. This is a motion to receive and place on file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 2, motion to waive the first reading as notice was published in the November 29, 2025 in the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier in accordance with requirements of the Code of Iowa, and publication was approved and request submitted by Ronald and Jennifer Worrell to rezone 4.73 acres of land from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural District, Residential District, to create 3 residential lots located south of 7851 Big Woods Road.
So moved.
Second.
To waive the first reading, what does that mean exactly?
So we need to have another meeting.
Mike,
Combining them.
what does it mean to waive the first reading?
First reading.
Had to call and cancel something just now.
I'm trying to get through this.
No, I understand. So waive the first reading, there, under the statutes pertaining to ordinance passage, it requires 3 readings, consecutive meetings. But if you waive, and I believe there's a procedure by which it can be done too, but to waive the first reading is something we do so that we can pass it on in just one reading of the proposal. So typically, in cases like this where we're looking for an amendment to rezone for somebody's yard, we don't typically go multiple readings. We typically do it in just one. And that's why this is almost just a perfunctory motion here. In fact, I don't think in the 7 years I've been in the county, certainly not in the 5 and a half that I've been for the board, I don't think I've ever seen one where we didn't waive the first readings.
I don't think we ever have in my time.
If you ask Ron Liddell, been on the Zoom here for over 3 hours waiting for this issue to come up, he's probably waited for all 3 readings.
At what point do we, now a good time for questions
We will
to Ron? Or
we
or-
will
Can you
just,
guys-
if we want to waive first, I think you were deciding whether or not you wanted to waive it,
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's a couple things that I wanted to explore.
but the questions come up in that oral and written comments.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, you do have an opportunity for that, but yeah. Do you understand what he's asking, Mike?
I didn't hear him asking.
Well, I was, so we still, I was just asking.
Oh, I understand what you were asking. I'm sorry if this is a good time to bring up questions at this point.
Well, initially the reason I asked was as far as what the meaning of waiving the first reading as notice meant. Trying to figure out. Here's what I'm
we
getting
went
to.
through this once before, actually. I remember answering on this point with
Yeah.
This is very, very common that we do this when there are items not, again, I've never seen it where they haven't waived it, but on items where there is not a dispute one way or the other, I mean, whether, like, I believe on something like this, you've probably got a recommendation coming from the planning and zoning on this, right?
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, well, I think I'm not
This is,
Yeah, this
I'm not
is,
sure what he's thinking, if he has questions, I think, and please tell me if I'm wrong, then he has questions on the project when he hears it. Maybe then by saying, yes, I should have had 3 readings, would have given you different timing, or
that
would
is
it?
true.
That's what I'm getting at.
So
Yeah.
why would you, if you can't ask the questions first,
Yeah, and
that's where we're at.
you can ask the questions, whether it gives you enough time to evaluate them is something that only you can determine on your own.
But
You
the
certainly have a right to vote against
Yeah.
waiving any of the readings, that's something you can do. The time at which you typically ask those questions of those involved are during oral comments
Yeah.
and during discussion just after oral comments.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
but I would,
No, sorry.
but I would think that you could ask questions right now, though, to help you
Exactly.
determine
I haven't
whether
seen anything
whether you want to require
I haven't seen any
additional readings or not.
discussion.
Does it? Okay, yeah, good. As long as it doesn't-
All I'm getting at is what I'd like to do, I haven't had the chance to yet, is have contact with the neighbors that are gonna be adjacent to where this rezoning would be, and then have contact with them. So if, I guess I'm ready to go to number 3 or whatever if we need to, just for purposes of moving along.
Okay, so do we want to go back, I mean, do we want to take action on waiving the first reading, because there again, it's a vote or a vote.
I mean,
mentioned it
and the
last time. I'm sorry.
the other option would be to, if you have questions after hearing the oral and written comments, you can also deny the resolution to suspend the rules as well. That would give more time
Right, yeah. thanks.
on item 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could,
correct.
you could still, yeah, you can go in all the different ways, but yeah, that's okay. So
Anyway.
would we like to do questions now, since we're not prohibited from that, would that give you a more of a comfort level before we move out of the waiving the first reading and just have
Yeah, sure.
Joseph do the oral part before we do something?
I know, I'm sorry, guys, it's a 12:15.
I thought that was a good spot to step out. I had to cancel a
I thought
doctor's
you must have-
appointment because of the way
sorry.
things are going today.
Okay, yeah. Joseph, thank you. I think we chased away somebody earlier. Let's see who we lost, one person.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll point out some stuff really quick, just before we get to questions. So Jennifer was here, she had to leave, had to go to some appointments. So this is the land that they are seeking to rezone. Their goal is eventually, if the rezone passes, to turn it into 3 lots. The intent is for it to primarily be for family members. That's who they would kind of save them for. They're not expecting to, sell them all to family members right away. The ground is in CRP. At the planning and zoning meeting, they were thinking that they were 2 years into the 15-year contract. So if they were to sell one of the lots to a family member, they would have to take care of that. There are some parts already zoned AR just across the road. We did receive a letter from one of the neighbors across the road stating that they were in support of this request. If I did not include that in the board packet, that is my bad.
No, that's all right. I was gonna say, that's usually, usually when you talk about the neighbors responding, sometimes it's in, yeah.
Yeah, so we did hear back from one of these neighbors across the street that they were in support of the request. This is kind of the layout that they're wanting to go with if the board passes the rezone. Jennifer also left me a paper, just wanted to call out. Again, that they aren't planning on marketing these lots, they may stay in CRP for quite a while. They're also very conservation focused, and so that's an important part of this, is they wouldn't, give the lots to just anyone. She also wrote a note that her mom would like to build just to the south of them. So that is one thing as well. And I believe Ron is on.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
Questions for him or for me.
And did anybody attend the meeting, anyone opposed or?
So there's nobody opposed, just the applicants attended the meeting for this request. I did read the letter we received from the neighbor. And I will mention one of the commission members specifically voted to approve their request based on the fact that the intent was for these to go to family members, not just to sell them for profit. So.
Out of what, 3 neighbors, is that look right? 4-ish. No more than 4.
473.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure this out as well, and I don't mean to interrupt anybody. I think I think the points are being well stated. We have no intention of trying to market these lots or anything else. We understand that we can build one property on that 35 acres. And I think that's what the letter from our neighbor, Mr. Schmitz, had stated. He's like, he sounded like he was for it. We've talked to him, knowing that we could potentially put our mother-in-law or mother there. We just know we have kids that in the future, when they get better, well established, would probably like to live there too. And we thought it'd be best to try and establish a few lots now instead of later, when, to our understanding, it would be against the rules set forth by the county and many other counties. And again, I apologize if I interrupt. I'm not hearing you guys very well in this system. So
No, you're fine.
also, okay.
Well, no, that's helpful. I mean, it appeared differently to me in looking at things, like it was turning into a real estate development deal under the guise of something else, I guess, if I'm being honest. But that gives me a little bit more comfort going forward. But so 2 years into the 15-year CRP plan is where they're at now with it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? You guys are currently 2 years into the 15-year CRP plan.
Yeah, that would be correct. I think we're approaching our 3rd year, and that would be another hurdle that we would have to get through.
And then, so with those CRP plans, do they have to maintain their full life before anything can happen with them? You know, Joe?
From my understanding, there is an option to buy out some of the CRP contract if they remove some land. But I am by no means an expert. That's just what I heard from one of the planning and zoning commissioners. It has a lot more to do with that.
I got nothing else. Thank you.
Any questions, Chris, from you either? Or Chris, did you have any questions?
Nope. I believe with the CRP, there's a process you go through with the USDA Services Office.
It was unanimous. Usually P&Z is usually pretty thorough at asking their questions because they come from that ag standpoint.
Especially when it's farmland or CRP land. So.
But I understand where you were kind of questioning, like someone could come in and say, we're setting these up for development.
Yeah.
Almost like commercial development, and then say, but it's a family deal. I'm surprised. What kind of provisions or things are in there to secure us from doing those types of things, like, being surprised when these people would come back to do something differently with the land?
So if these 3 lots, if the zoning is approved and these 3 lots are created, the only way they could put any more lots on that land would be per subdivision ordinance rules. They would have to install a sewer system, a quasi-public sewer system that would serve all the lots on that property, which is prohibited, very expensive, very expensive to do, which tends to scare away most people who want to come in and do a full subdivision in the county. So these 3 lots would be the max they could put on this land without having to go through that whole process.
Excellent.
So I think, are we ready then to, did we have a motion in the second, just held off on the vote, did we do that? Okay.
For item 2, yep.
So item 2, all in favor, to waive the first reading?
Aye.
Opposed? No, there aren't any, sorry. Thank you, motion passes. Item 3, motion to close the hearing as oral and written comments were received. I believe we've had oral, but were there any written?
No written.
You have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Sign, motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution to suspend the rules requiring the Board of Supervisors to consider and vote on the proposed ordinance at 2 prior meetings. Ordinance adoption, that ordinance amending ordinance number 36 as amended, the Blackhawk County, Iowa Agricultural Preservation Zoning Ordinance adopted February 2nd, 1999 by adding subsection number 302 to section 6B, rezoning certain property as described in the above request submitted by Jennifer Worrell, be considered for adoption and if adopted be known as ordinance number 77-302.
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded. This roll call vote. Please answer your names.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. And the time is 12:27. I might get to look back up. At 12:27, we'll have a hearing on the proposed rezone ordinance number 77-303, Keegan. Motion to receive and place on file, proof of publication.
So moved.
Second?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Item 2, motion to waive the first reading as notice was published on November 29, 2025 in the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier in accordance with requirements of the Code of Iowa. Submitted by Kevin Keegan to
So moved.
1.51 acres of land from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential District to split off an existing farmhouse from the rest of the property located at 7307 East Rhinebeck Road.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Aye.
Item 3, motion to close the hearing as oral and written comments were received and placed on file.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Are there any written comments?
No written comments.
Okay, Joseph, take it away.
Yeah.
Afternoon, board.
This one I need explanation on myself.
Hey,
Joseph, what are you doing?
So this request, the way the ordinance is written, if a farmhouse is built anytime after 1982, so a farmhouse would be a house built connected to 35 or more acres, they have to wait 15 years at a minimum after it's built, and then they can request the land to be rezoned and then split off. So that's what this case is. This house was built in 2001, so that 15-year requirement has been met. The applicant, his parents live in this house right now. His parents are getting older, their health is failing, so they're going to have to move. So they need to sell the house, but they're, I believe, not wanting to sell the farmland as well. So the rezone, if this gets approved, the rezone will be the land around the house, and then they're planning on splitting off more than what that rezone is, so the actual parcel they're wanting to split off would be kind of this front pasture area that includes the house. So that's the land that they're hoping to be able to parcel off if this rezone gets approved.
So my first question is, why is not the area being zoned all the way with the driveway up to the street? Seems like you're landlocking that property.
So, we don't require them to rezone a certain amount, well, we require them to rezone between 1.5 acres and 2.9 acres. Generally, when it's a larger property, they'll just rezone around where that house is going, since the house has to be in that rezone area. In this case, they decided to just rezone 1.5 acres right around the house. Even if they weren't going to include some of this front part in the parcel, we would still require at minimum an access easement in the plat, or often we also see cases where they would just plat off this area as well as the rezone area.
I guess I just don't understand why they're not doing that now, because it seems like they're looking at selling the property, you're landlocking them, and you have an easement problem just using the driveway to it.
Yeah, so this rezone won't create the parcel. They will, their intent is to parcel off all the way up to that road. Just especially when some of these houses are farther back, they simply decide to just go 1.5 acres around where the house is. So this won't be a landlocked lot. They're going to go all the way to the road, so it'll still have access and everything like that. They just chose to zone 1.5 acres, not going all the way up to the road.
Still, they're gonna be back to us again for another rezoning at some point then?
No, so they won't have to rezone it. They'll be back for a minor plat process. If this gets rezoned, which will actually create the plat to be able to split it off. But they won't need to rezone anymore. They also couldn't add another house on this property, especially after the new parcel is created, so they wouldn't have a need to rezone it. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, and not quite. I mean, it just doesn't make sense if you're, why they ain't doing it all at once, I guess is the answer I heard. The answer I'm not hearing yet. Why aren't they doing the whole thing at once?
By the whole thing, you mean?
All the way from that property, all the way for the access to the street.
So they don't need to rezone access to the street.
Okay.
That's something we look at in the minor plat. So it's during that process, we make sure that they have the proper access to the property. The surveyor was here but had to step out. But I've talked with him before. They are going to just parcel off this whole area. There's no requirement that says that they need to rezone from the street all the way to their house. And so oftentimes they'll just rezone that minimum area around the house in these cases, just for, I think, ease.
It just seems very questionable that if they're selling the house or the property, but yet they don't own the property. I mean, who's gonna be responsible, whether it's mowing or taking care of anything for the drive or access to the home? To me, it seems kind of odd that we're not including full access to the property in this zoning. That's my personal concern with it.
Yeah, and so
It won't cause issues for the buyer down the road?
no, it wouldn't. No,
Okay,
so,
that's-
because the parcel created will be larger than the zoning area. And even if they just had, a sliver along the road, the width that we require, they would still be, the homeowner would be required to maintain their driveway, and then whoever else owned the property would retain.
Well, as long as, I don't know if it'd be in the sale agreement, whatever, for full access, because the people buying the home will be buying the property we're zoning, but not the area in between the street.
So, this
When it's
rezone is
sold,
just the
that-
first step in the process of creating the plat.
Okay,
The actual plat will have this property go all the way up to the road. So they
Okay,
will all own all of that land between the house and the road.
that's the part I was missing. Okay. Chris, you were saying something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna reword it to help clarify, but I think you've got it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Perfect.
Okay, you ready?
I believe we have a motion and a second on item 3. We haven't taken a vote yet.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Item 4 is a resolution to suspend the rules requiring the Board of Supervisors to consider and vote on the proposed ordinance at 2 prior meetings. Ordinance adopted, okay, go ahead, you can shorten it. I was like, Karen will get all the details anyway, but it's the rezoning the property.
Is that okay?
That will be known as ordinance
So
number
moved.
777-302, yes.
Second.
It's the resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Grant. Schwartz.
Yes.
Kurttenbach.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Okay, any reports or information from the board? No, I know, I thought that too, I'm like, oh no. All right, but we can always catch those up next week. Closed session, are we ready to go into this, okay?
So moved.
Resolution that pursuant to the provisions of the Iowa Open Meetings Law by the authorities of Iowa. 3.17-3, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors shall proceed into closed session for the following purpose: negotiating sessions, strategy meeting of public employers, mediation and deliberative process of arbitrators, which are exempt from the provisions of Chapter 21.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Resolution.
Okay.
Okay, great. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right. Justin, my apologies.